explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Christmas starts here at H&L Rapid True Value. Get Christmas ready by shopping the latest in our catalog. The time brought to you by H&L Rapid True Value is...
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 in Montego Bay.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, NWC owed almost $58 billion in unpaid water bills.
The NWC's age receivables above 6 months is approximately 58 billion Jamaican dollars. Receivables related to debts existing for longer than 2 years is in excess of $45 billion.
And about 30,000 NWC customers island-wide are to benefit from the amnesty to be launched in January.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck hints at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers.
Education Minister Senator Dana Morris Dixon says bomb threats to schools across the island are terrorizing students.
NWA urges motorists to remain patient as persistent rainfall continues to disrupt road maintenance and repair efforts across the island.
In news from the rest of the world, U.S. imposing sanctions on 21 top Venezuela officials over election crackdown.
Numerous bomb threats made against Trump cabinet nominees.
In headline sports, Raymond Reefer and John Campbell to face disciplinary action following farcical ending to Super 50 final.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, says approximately 30,000 people are expected to benefit from the debt write-offs for delinquent NWC customers. Minister Samuda will join us.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, are you motivated to vote in the next general election and why? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page Nationwide News Network and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck is hinting at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers.
Those gangs who are killing 2 or more people, the death sentence may well be there for them. We haven't imposed it yet, but it may well be there.
We'll hear more from Minister Chuck.
At 7, it's Think Like a Stockbroker with Siobhan Campbell.
And at 8, it's Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings Weathers. All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, nationwideradiojm.com, and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, November 27, 2024.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Almost $58 billion. That's how much is owed to the National Water Commission, NWC, in unpaid bills in excess of 6 months. Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, made the revelation at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing at the office of the Prime Minister.
The NWC's age receivables, which covers receivables existing above 6 months, is approximately 58 billion Jamaican dollars. As a subset of this, receivables related to debts existing for longer than 2 years is in excess of $45 billion. So 6 months to 2 years is $13 billion. And above 5 years is $38 billion. So 2 years to 5 years is $7 billion. So when one contemplates above 5 years having such a large number, you see just how uncollectible this volume has been and why this is so critically important to connect persons.
Minister Sumuda was providing further clarification about the new water bill amnesty announced by Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the JLP's 81st annual conference on Sunday. Under the amnesty, persons with outstanding bills for 2 years or more will have their debt written off by the NWC following assessment. Minister Sumuda says this initiative is an expansion of a previous amnesty that was offered to thousands of NWC customers in Portmore, St. Catherine.
This was not a knee-jerk reaction. This is an expansion of an initiative that was undertaken by the National Water Commission over the last 12 months in Portmore, St. Catherine, in some of our quadrants where we had particularly high levels of NRW, where we went in and we've done our NRW work, but we still saw significant household usage and significant theft in some areas. We have seen where we're able to bring back thousands of customers which were disconnected through individual discussions. What this represents to the National Water Commission is a national wholesale effort at having the conversation with Jamaicans that you can come in, we do care, we do think it critically important for you to be connected to the National Water Commission system formally, and we will offer relief.
Matthew Sumuda, Minister with responsibility for water.
Meanwhile, Minister Sumuda says about 30,000 NWC customers island-wide are expected to be the early beneficiaries of the amnesty once it's launched in January.
We will work closely with the Ministry of Labour, the RGD, and the NLA to ensure that those who qualify are verified. This amnesty offers benefit by our initial estimates to over 30,000 account holders. We expect that number to increase, and when that number is finalized, we will confirm same through the media.
Matthew Sumuda, Minister with responsibility for water.
Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck is hinting at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers. He made the disclosure while addressing a Justice of the Peace swearing-in ceremony in Trelawney today. While anticipating a potential legal challenge, the Justice Minister says more must be done to combat gangs. Mahiri Stewart tells us more.
While murders on average this year continue to trend below 2023 figures, the JCF has noted a disturbing increase in mass shootings. Opposition spokesman on national security Peter Bunting on Tuesday called for action on the part of the government to address the trend. However, Minister Chuck is hinting that potential legislation is in the works.
And the government is prepared and determined to fight back. And that is why, apart from gang legislation, I will soon take to Parliament. Those gangs who are killing 2 or more people, the death sentence may well be there for them. We haven't imposed it yet, but it may well be there. And let it go back up to the Privy Council and to get life sentence back. But we have to start sending the signal that some of these gangsters must be out of the community forever.
The minister says failure to remove gangs from communities would give them the opportunity to supplant the proper authorities. He's also urging family members and spouses who benefit from the criminal activities of their relatives to turn them in.
Because you have some young people, young men in particular, but they're being given support by young women too, and sadly, by mothers and grandmothers, because they're scamming, they're chopping, they're fraud, brings in big money, and they buy out the girlfriend, buy out the mother, and the grandmother says, be careful now, be careful, even though they know this is illicit money. And unless the decent, law-abiding citizens of our country, and I expect all of you to be in that category, start to coordinate and work in partnership with the police, the gangs, the criminals will soon be at your door.
The minister says without intervention, the country may face a problem similar to Haiti and El Salvador of the past that could require far more drastic action.
You saw it in El Salvador, where they were taking over until Bukele took a most oppressive action, don't get me wrong, and lock up 70,000 of them. 70,000 of them, they locked them up. And the murder rate went down to almost nothing. People say, Mr. Chuck, Prime Minister Andrew Holness want to do that there. God forbid that we should ever have to do that. But when you think of what is happening next door in Haiti, where the gangs are taking over, have taken over.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Education Minister Senator Dana Morris-Dixon says bomb threats to schools across the island are terrorizing students. She was reacting to Monday's latest bomb hoax at Meadowbrook High School in St. Andrew. Dana Davey reports.
Since the start of the year, several schools have been targets of bomb threats, which were later identified as hoaxes. The hoax has disrupted teaching and learning for many days. Some of the schools affected include Campion College and Kingston College in St. Andrew and Homewood Technical High School in Manchester. The latest incident occurred on Monday when students at Meadowbrook High School in St. Andrew had to be sent home. Speaking at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing, Senator Morris-Dixon says the police are actively investigating the latest threats.
The bomb threats is obviously one that is an issue. I'm trying not to speak about it too much because I don't want to be giving these people who are doing it any more airtime than they really should get. They are terrorizing our children. They are preventing them from doing their work. It is not something that we should be giving a lot of publicity to. The police are on it, and they have some leads, and they are dealing with it, and we get updates periodically from the police on it, but it is something that's completely unacceptable.
Meanwhile, Senator Morris-Dixon says the review of the country's school safety policy guidelines will be completed in the coming days. She says the upcoming policy is expected to address safety and security concerns to better protect students and staff.
The school security policy will be done this month, which is in a few days, and that is a priority of the ministry. But we don't just sit around and wait for the policy to be put in place. There are a lot of initiatives that are already in place working with the JCF in terms of having support in our schools. What we see happening in our schools is really a reflection of what's happening in our broader society, and it is being brought into the school environment, and we're going to have to deal with it on multiple fronts. It is very important to us as the ministry, which is why we're updating the policy and prioritizing it to be done within a few days.
Senator Morris-Dixon announced a review of the policy following the November 15 shooting death of a school bus driver at Homewood Technical High in Manchester. Hours after that brutal slaying, a male parent was fatally shot outside the gates of Rousseau Primary School in St. Andrew. The incident marked the second fatal shooting at the primary school in less than a month. Minister Morris-Dixon says penalties for crimes committed at schools or near children will be examined. Senator Morris-Dixon further notes that efforts also need to be concentrated on the psychosocial trauma of students.
The parenting element is absolutely important, and so we're putting measures into place in terms of parenting. We have to do the work on the psychosocial elements that are a concern. A lot of our children are coming to school traumatized. They have trauma in their homes, they have trauma in their communities. And so it's not just about teaching them when they come to school. We're also having to think about their psyche and giving counseling. And so we are, as a ministry, having to be looking at how do we have more guidance counselors? How do we have more of those types of initiatives? In some schools, we are doing cognitive behavioral therapy because that's how wounded our children are.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
The National Works Agency, NWA, is urging motorists to remain patient as persistent rainfall continues to disrupt road maintenance and repair efforts across the island. In a statement on Wednesday, the NWA acknowledged the growing frustration of road users. However, the agency emphasizes that the ongoing adverse weather has significantly impacted repair timelines. Robian Williams reports.
According to the NWA, the heavy rains have not only delayed critical maintenance, but have also affected the production of materials essential for repairs. Asphalt manufacturers, in particular, are facing challenges as raw materials are exposed to moisture. This compromises the quality of asphalt if not properly dried. The NWA says this is especially critical as the materials used in road projects are highly sensitive to temperature and moisture conditions. It says while efforts have been made to work around the weather, this has led to some material losses and delays in the completion of repairs. In some instances, newly repaired roads have also suffered damage due to the persistent rain. The NWA says it acknowledges these issues and wants to assure the public of its commitment to long-term solutions aimed at improving the durability and quality of the road network. As a temporary measure, the NAA says it is using aggregate to fill potholes in affected areas in a bid to provide some relief to motorists. While this is not a permanent solution, the NAA says it will help reduce immediate risks and improve driving conditions until proper repairs can be completed. Motorists are being urged to exercise extreme caution, especially when driving over areas where potholes may be covered by water. The NAA says it's important to reduce speed and navigate these areas carefully to avoid further damage to vehicles and ensure personal safety. The government has allocated financial resources for road maintenance and repairs. This includes the $3 billion REACH a Road Repair Program and the newly launched $1.5 billion constituency-based maintenance and cleanup program. This is in addition to the upcoming $45 billion Spark project set to begin this fiscal year. Roby-Ann Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
16 minutes after 5.
Rent-A-Kill Initial is the expert in pest control, air purification, and hygiene services. Call today 876-926-4236.
The temperature by Rent-A-Kill is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 27 in Montego Bay.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from the daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. Enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle in Ocherias from $299 per night. Take advantage of this offer today by calling Couples Resorts at 876-632-8200. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, Member of Parliament for West Portland Darrell Vaz says heavy rains on Monday night have done significant damage in the parish. The country has been experiencing several weather events since the start of a very active hurricane season in June. He says roads and houses in both West and East Portland have been damaged by landslides.
We have been getting non-stop rain from Saturday in Portland, both East and West Portland. But between Saturday night and Sunday, we have had severe damage. We have had a road that has broken away to go to Bangor Ridge and Maho. We have several landslides. We have major damage in terms of people's houses that are now perilously perched on the side of gullies and hillsides, not to mention landslides and other infrastructure damage. Many homes have been flooded out, and it continues.
Mr. Vaz says an assessment of the damage will be undertaken once the rains stop.
The NAA is working assiduously to try and clear the roadblocks, but we won't be able to do a proper assessment until the rain subsides. But from Beryl, we have been getting rain more than the ordinary in Portland, but this weekend has been the worst.
Darrell Vaz, MP for West Portland.
Meanwhile, Mr. Vaz says the recent weather events may cause a major setback of the Spark program in Portland, which is scheduled to begin in January 2025.
For Spark, I did my consultation with Spark maybe about two and a half months ago. It's a major setback because the fact of the matter is that the allocation that has been given, announced by the Prime Minister last week of the $22 million between patching and bushing, etc. And of course, there's a REACH program for $10 million, $32 million in total that will be spent between now and January. And based on the damage that has been done to the road, that is a drop in the bucket in terms of being able to repair the damaged road. We usually have what is called flood damage repairs. So I'm just hoping that NAA, through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, will make a special allocation to see how we can at least recover from this in terms of the damage to the infrastructure.
He says he will have to re-evaluate the roads in West Portland he submitted for the Spark program due to damage caused by the heavy rains over the last few days.
Spark will start in January. I have 10 roads on Spark. But as I said, the 10 roads that I had initially planned to do will have to be revised now to see whether or not I have to spend or reallocate funds or redirect funds to deal with those particular roads, especially the major thoroughfares within the interiors. For argument's sake, Buff Bay going up to a section, up to East Road, the border of East Road, St. Andrew, which is up by Newcastle. The Hope Bay, from Hope Bay Township going up into Shrewsbury and all the way up to Cooper's Hill. Those are major thoroughfares of many communities that use that road every day to get to school, get to work, get to their farms, etc., etc. So, again, thankfully, no loss of life.
Darrell Vaz, Member of Parliament for West Portland. He was speaking on Nationwide this morning.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The United States is imposing sanctions on 21 senior Venezuelan officials for their role in suppressing protests following the July presidential elections. The officials include members of President Nicolas Maduro's cabinet. According to Reuters News, Washington says Maduro falsely claimed victory in the vote and that opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez is the president-elect. They say officials who are acting unlawfully to uphold his regime based on repressive tactics will also find themselves in the crosshairs of these sanctions. The United States would also be imposing visa restrictions on a number of officials associated with Maduro. Venezuela's opposition, a number of Western countries, and some international organizations have decried the election as non-transparent.
Several of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and picks for his White House team have been targeted by bomb threats. The FBI said it was aware of numerous bomb threats as well as swatting incidents in which hoax calls are made to attract a police response to the target's home. The BBC is reporting that threats were made against Trump's choices to lead the departments of Housing, Agriculture and Labor, as well as his pick for U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. Police are investigating the incidents, which happened on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. A spokeswoman for Trump's transition team, Carolyn Levitt, says the Trump appointees were targeted in violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. Neither Levitt nor the FBI identified any of the targets by name.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, says NWC is owed almost $58 billion in unpaid water bills.
And 30,000 NWC customers island-wide are expected to be the early beneficiaries once the amnesty initiative is launched in January.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is hinting at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers.
Education Minister Senator Dana Morris-Dixon says bomb threats to schools across the island are terrorizing students.
I'm Roby Ann Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payment until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payment until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
It's time! Shucks
Shocks Depot is having a pre-Christmas clearance sale with massive discounts on all shocks and struts for all vehicles. Installation and wheel alignment available, plus warranty on all shocks and struts. Contact or visit Shocks Depot at 79 Hagley Park Road. Telephone 876-649-0238 and call or WhatsApp 876-509-0076. Shocks Depot. Our products are durable, comfortable, and affordable.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from the daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. Enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle in Ocho Rios from $299 per night. Take advantage of this offer today by calling Couples Resorts at 876-632-8200. Conditions apply.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Cricket West Indies has confirmed that Barbados Pride captain Raymond Reefer and Jamaica Scorpion skipper John Campbell will face disciplinary action for their infringement of the Code of Conduct after they refused to turn up for the toss in the rain-affected CG United Super 50 Cup day-night final last Saturday. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket Miles Bascom, in expressing his disappointment in the actions of the team captains, says the laws are quite clear. Reef and Campbell failed to show for the toss after the match officials made the decision that conditions were safe to play and reduced a 20 over per side match than 5 hours had been lost to rain. The game was set to start at 1 p.m. local time, but was delayed for more than 5 hours due to rain. The ground staff worked tirelessly to get the facility in a condition that would be deemed safe for play, which led to the match officials informing the captains at 5:43 to report for the toss at 6 o'clock for a 6:17 start. But the captains did not show. Bascom says the focus will be on the actions of the captains, while further investigations will be needed to determine if they acted alone or on the advice of their respective backroom staff. The captains will now decide if they are going to accept the charges and the penalties proposed, or whether they are going to dispute them. The matter will be heard by the disciplinary committee and they will rule on the matter. As a result of the forfeiture, neither team will be paid. Both captains were called to meetings by their respective boards, Reefer on Monday and Campbell on Tuesday. The JCA is expecting a written report on the matter from Campbell and the coaching staff. And West Indies cricket team arrived on the island today for the second test against Bangladesh at Sabina Park starting on Saturday. The Windies lead the two-test series 1-0 following a 201-run win in the first game, which ended yesterday. And coach of the West Indies team, Andre Kohli, says he expects the pitch to favour the home side.
Home advantage, we try to have those conversations to ensure that the style of cricket that we want to play, that we get the surface that facilitates that and encourages that. We'll make a final decision. I think it's too far away to make that decision. We saw here we had to make a change because of what was happening. So we're confident that based on what we have requested, similar to here, that we will get it. But a final decision will be made on that.
That's Andre Kohli. Defending champions Glen Muir have come from behind to take a 3-1 lead over Ocho Rios High in the first semi-final of the ISA Champions Cup on at the National Stadium. The second semi-final between Hydel and Jamaica College is set to kick off at 6:15, also at the National Stadium. Defending champions Real Madrid suffered their third defeat of the European Champions League campaign after losing 2-0 to runaway leaders of the English Premier League Liverpool at Anfield today. Argentina's World Cup winner Alexis McAllister gave Liverpool the lead on 52 minutes before the Dutchman Cody Gakpo headed home in the 76th minute for Liverpool's first win over Real Madrid in their last 9 meetings.
McAllister, here's Bradley again. McAllister! It's been coming! Liverpool have hemmed Real Madrid in since the break and wouldn't take no for an answer. Alexis McAllister is the goal scorer. Oh, it's easy. Cody Gakpo, unopposed, just had to get off the ground, get his head to it, nobody marking him. Delicious cross. Liverpool are 2 up.
Mo Salah for Liverpool and Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid both failed to convert penalties. In other games today, Aston Villa had a goal ruled out by VAR with the very last kick of the game, and they had to settle for a goalless draw with Juventus at Villa Park. Benfica beat Monaco 3-2. Dinamo Zagreb crashed the 3-0 at home to last season's beaten finalist Borussia Dortmund, and Celtic played out a 1-1 draw with Club Brugge. Minister of Sport Olivia Grange has pledged to refurbish the Sunshine Chalet, which houses the national netball teams. Located at 17 Whitcomb Road, the residence was handed over to Netball Jamaica by the government of Jamaica in 2010. The facility was built to house players of various national programs during training camps, seminars and meetings. However, the facility has fallen into disrepair over the years. Minister Grange says it's time to restore the facility to its former glory.
We have really contributed a lot to their development. We give them a monthly subvention through the Sports Development Foundation, and we are going to be renovating the netball house through funding from the Ministry of Economic Growth, right? Which is, of course, the minister is the minister for that ministry, and he's providing the funding to restore the house.
Sports Minister Olivia Grange. And that will do it for sports. We'll be back at 6:05 with much more.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The temperature by the One JN Passport app is
28 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 27 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life while we feel safe at night.
Yeah, girl.
Yo, Martina. Beg your money, no? Jano Star, the thing dismal. It's sticky out in the streets, you know.
Hey, money. But I take that from you right now. But, Rashi, you know, I have a way we can make some money quick. Like 100 grand, my girl.
100 grand? Quick and fast? Yo! But hold on there. That not sound straight.
What you mean by that not sound straight? A straight business me say. And you know that too. And I work from home, my girl. All you need is a phone. I'm send you to lead them. You just have to call me. Easy one to that.
Well, them must they not seem so hard at all. I really want to. Alright. Me go check my brother and show him the pre. Me call you back later.
Make sure you call me back, you know.
Yeah, girl.
Alright, later.
Yo, sis, what go on?
Good, son. Martina show me a pre for make some quick money, you know. All we have to do, I just dial. She will send the leads.
Dial? Sis, you know no sense. Martina chopper, I sink she go sink you. We not do the right thing. You should report her. No have no conversation with no chopper. Just do the right thing.
She my friend. Oh, you have to say that. Oh, me for do her that. She check for me.
So if she your friend, a prison what that, you know, and you can end up dead and get mixed up with the wrong people them. You need to take care of yourself and do the right thing.
Real talk. Me never did a meds so, you know. All me I think about is how to make some quick money. Thanks for the guidance. Me I do the right thing and load that out.
I bet you look a real work and do the right thing.
A true man. Me could do the right thing and live good.
Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life while we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good. I bet you and I.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Guilty. Outperform, outlast. Guilty. With top performance. Guilty. In the chat.
rock, comma, jack, comma. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Pan select tools, free parts and free repairs. Free parts, free repairs. 2 to 3 years. Built-in, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings, each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:35, the 27th of November. Welcome to the Cover Story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Well, the afternoon to you, Sir Siobhan, and of course, top of the afternoon to our listeners and our viewers on YouTube. How are you doing, Sir Chev?
Doing quite well, a little under the weather, but we press on and we do our best. And it's heading into the holiday season, and I don't have much to complain about at this moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. Give thanks. Good to be here with you, my brother.
Okay. Well, listeners, we're going to be touching now on this NWC debt amnesty. Minister with Responsibility for Water, that's Matthew Samuda, says approximately 30,000 people are expected to benefit from the debt write-offs for delinquent customers of the National Water Commission, NWC. He also says almost $58 billion is owed to the Commission in unpaid bills in excess of 6 months.
The NWC's age receivables, which covers receivables existing above 6 months, is approximately 58 billion Jamaican dollars. As a subset of this, receivables related to debts existing for longer than 2 years is in excess of $45 billion. So 6 months to 2 years is $13 billion. And above 5 years is $38 billion. So 2 years to 5 years is $7 billion. So when one contemplates above 5 years having such a large number, you see just how uncollectible this volume has been and why this is so critically important to connect persons.
The voice there of Matthew Samuda. He's the Minister with Responsibility for Water. The amnesty was announced by the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, at the JLP's 81st annual conference on Sunday. The Prime Minister noted, or told Jamaicans, says Jamaicans disconnected from the NWC for over 2 years due to outstanding debts would have the opportunity to clear those arrears.
He says the water debt amnesty will start on January 2, 2025 and last for 3 months. Additionally, customers who have been disconnected for over 6 months will be eligible for a discount on their outstanding balances if they commit to structured repayment plans. Well, joining us to discuss further is the Minister with Responsibility for Water himself, Matthew Samuda. Good afternoon, Minister Samuda.
Good afternoon to you, Minister.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
So, Minister, this 30,000 people who are eligible at the start, how much does that represent in terms of a write-off in the sum for the NWC?
So, it's not that 30,000 people are eligible. There are 155,000 accounts. which are disconnected, which fit into the category of aged receivables. We are gleaning the 30,000 based on our initial checks who would qualify with pensioners who we're cross-referencing with persons on path who we know are disconnected in particular areas, areas where there's significant development, so there's likely demand for reconnection because the areas are not uninhabited. So that's our target for the first 3 months, and we expect that eligibility criteria to actually send 30,000 person target higher. But that's what we've been able to glean thus far from cross-referencing of the numbers.
And out of that number, in terms of the customers who are to benefit from this write-off, is this the proper message to be sending to those people who diligently pay their water bills on a regular monthly basis?
Well, let's look at who we have, aimed this particular relief to fix. The first grouping, as mentioned by the Prime Minister, are pensioners who have NWC debts unpaid for over 2 years. They're simply unable to pay, and many of these persons, it was towards the end of their career, or sometimes after retirement, that they uncovered a massive leak on their property, and they've since been unable to recover from the financial burden of that leak. That's one grouping. The other grouping above 2 years that we are trying to provide some relief to is persons who would have had similar leak issues who qualify similarly for PASS. So you're targeting a vulnerable group who have debts above the 2-year mark to provide some relief. And I think all Jamaicans, social justice, spirit of Christmas, the need to get these people back connected through, formal means, because many of them are buying expensive water by way of trucks. Many of them have to be doing creative plumbing with neighbors' accounts, which causes all sorts of social issues in communities. And there are cases where persons are illegally bypassing meters to get potable water. Water is indeed necessary. So this vulnerable group we've assessed are unable to service this debt. It is uncollectible. And we've made the decision to provide them with the relief to help them to get back to formal connections. You should note also that because this group is particularly vulnerable, we have decided for this group over 2 years, with debts over 2 years, to waive the reconnection fees.
I know the aim is to get these individuals formalized. Is there any worry that in the long term you might end up having to write off additional debt? Is there any concern for that? And is there anything built into the system like a fail-safe to address that later on?
So the legislation is a fail-safe. There's nothing forcing the Water Commission or the government to provide write-offs in the future for those who are purely delinquent. Any write-off in the future, certainly from my perspective, would be for persons who didn't fit within this group, not someone who you went to this length and wrote off their sums and helped them get reconnected if they fall, to delinquency for obvious non-interest in paying bills, then you certainly couldn't help them. It's one of the reasons why the government has also insisted that the National Water Commission partner with the Heart Trust and STA, who I know would have just graduated a tier or a cadre of leak detection specialists. I think over 70 of them would have just completed that last course, and they have these tranches from time to time. The NWC will help pensioners in particular with leak detection specialists to go and find the leaks to make sure that they don't find themselves back into the same problem. Now, this isn't to be confused with doing the plumbing work when the leak is detected, but certainly helping them with a specific art to find leaks, especially in older homes, to make sure that you find a leak so they can repair it so that they don't find themselves in the same problem in the future. And also we don't find ourselves in this situation. But there's no doubt with 155,000 accounts, because accounts are tied to the property and are tied to the title, that these persons have to be getting water from somewhere. It is causing social dislocation. It is causing, no doubt, health issues, reducing comfort. And in many cases, for those who just simply can't afford it, it's reducing their dignity. So for us, it's incredibly important that we take this step. We do hope to get more than 30,000, but we are putting in place the necessary infrastructure by way of specialized lines, helpline, special email cases, additional staff where necessary. We may open on some Saturdays if we see the volume requiring it to be able to deal with these special cases. So we're putting in place the systems also to ensure that whether you're between 6 months and 2 years or above 2 years and fit within the criteria, that we have the space to deal with it. Because it's also important from a revenue perspective that NWC gets additional customers. That's also incredibly important. And we've seen the benefit of this as a part of our non-revenue water work and our drive in Portmore to get customers who are disconnected. And we've taken it block by block, road by road. And we're seeing persons who are disconnected with creative payment plans and with, in some cases, small write-offs and discounts. We're seeing where we've gotten back several thousand customers who are disconnected, which is good for NWC, it's good for them, it's good for public health.
Heard you, Minister. Can you stay on the line? We will be right back after these messages.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
Label Crafts Jamaica Limited offers exceptional finishes that will make your product extraordinary at an affordable cost. The Temperature, brought to you by Label Crafts Jamaica Limited. The number one choice for label printing is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 27 out west in Montego Bay.
Want to start investing in stocks but don't know how? Then the JMMB Income and Growth Fund could fit your future best with returns that outperform inflation and tax-free advantages. Visit jm.jmmb.com to get started with as little as $5,000. Conditions apply.
Me grew up as my granny save her money under her mattress. But at an old time something. That's where I save my money in the bank. And because I want to buy a little house, I also save in a building society. We have to be smart with how we save our money.
So, what if the bank crash?
Well, that's where JDIC comes in. Make I tell you something. With the JDIC Deposit Insurance Scheme, once you save your money in a commercial bank, merchant bank, or building society, your deposit is covered up to a maximum of $1.2 million per depositor per financial institution if the institution fails. All the information that you need is available at jdic.org, and you can follow their social media platform for more information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, as we delve into this NWC debt amnesty program announced by the Prime Minister on Sunday, trying to get some of the nitty-gritty details. We have with us Minister with Responsibility for Water, Matthew Samuda. So, Minister Samuda, this matter of the NWC's revenues, and while you accept that much of that 58 billion is probably not collectible at this point, how do we ensure going forward that we secure those revenues and we don't fall into this debt trap again over at the NWC?
So the NWC has significantly increased its revenue over the last 3 to 4 years by being very diligent on collection, by reducing leaks, by working with customers, residential and commercial customers, to ensure that we cut this down. And that's something that I think I have to give them credit for. I mean, our collections have gone up by several hundred million over the last 4 years without a tariff increase. So that should be noted, and the management is diligent and focused on it, and we're trying our best to not allow persons to even get to 6 months so that you don't have this sort of issue. But we do have to look at the policy construct and the legislative construct, because there has to be some social justice, some equity, some empathy in a situation where someone is aware of a leak or is made aware of a leak because of an increase in the bill. They go to several plumbers, some recommended by the NWC. Sometimes it takes a while to find that leak, all the while running up a debt that in many cases for pensioners and those living below the poverty line becomes something that they can't service. They can't stick to the current arrangement. So this is something that we do have to look at. I can't tell you there's a perfect answer this evening, but what I am sure of is that much of this is uncollectible. It doesn't serve the customers, it doesn't serve the NWC, it doesn't serve the country at large to have persons living without potable water connections that are within the utility footprint of the Water Commission. The debt cost is a significant burden on households that simply can't afford it, especially in the context of the issues we're having with cost of living now. So this is as much an attack on cost of living for those who are struggling to service some of these particular bills that were in many cases of no fault of their own. So we have, we're applying a little conscience to the situation, but I will tell you that we have already improved in terms of not having as many delinquent customers as we once would have.
Minister, I'm not certain if NWC has this. You can help us with our knowledge on this one. The JPS has what they call prepaid meters. Has any mechanism of that sort for NWC ever been considered?
It's been considered, but it doesn't exist in our current legal construct. It's something that I think is worth deep exploration. I know there's in some spaces that it has been very successful in some areas of JPS. I suspect we would find similar success in some of those cases. So it is something we're exploring.
I want to take you now, Minister, to this matter of, because I initially I missed the press conference, but I saw this report. I saw a media statement from the National Water Commission that I read. I had to go to the NWC's Twitter page to see if this was actually factual and it wasn't some kind of deep fake that was being circulated, where the NWC had to rebuff opposition spokesman on water, Ian Hales, who basically made a claim, and it was reported by the Gleaner, and I want to be specific here. The report from the Gleaner was that the board of the NWC was blindsided by Prime Minister Andrew Holness's announcement that it is to write off the debts of pensioners with outstanding balances of more than 2 years. That's what he alleged at this meeting. And then, of course, the NWC had to enter the fray, which, I'm sure these entities don't necessarily want to get in the political crossfire. But for a statement like that to be made, I think we have the clip. I have a question for you about governance in relation to this that I want to ask. But here's the clip with Ian Hales.
The announcement on Sunday in regards to water we regard as a knee-jerk reaction. This wasn't a decision which was taken by the board of the NWC before the Prime Minister came and made those announcements. The NWC has 547,321 customers. Of that amount, 350,000 is in delinquent in some way, shape, or form. It leaves just 197,000 citizens or customers of the NWC that are paying the water bill for everybody else in this country. So from the 197,000 citizens or customers of the NWC, our teachers, firemen, police, farmers, nurses, taxi drivers, and even some of the current pensioners will not see any benefit from what was announced on Sunday.
To him suggesting that there is no benefit to pensioners. But the question I want to bowl to you now, Matthew Samuda, is my initial reaction to this is to establish whether or not the board would have known about the announcement was a simple phone call, and my mind went to governance. And I thought to myself, this can't be the kind of governance that the opposition is suggesting that they'll put into place, that they won't seek to verify a simple check by a phone call to the NWC would have revealed to them that the board knew about this. And I wanted to get you on that, Minister, in terms of attempts to score political points and making claims that are easily verified, false claims that are easily verified. I wanted to get your response to that in terms of how that impacts on governance.
I'm only going to say two things on it. It is the silly season, and I expect more anon. But I can assure your listeners, the board was well aware of the contemplation of the plans of the development of the strategy. We finalized. We even looked at the language on before it was read, just to make sure it was consistent with what we had contemplated. But I also make no bones about it that the water sector policy of 2019 clearly gives the need for policy direction from the executive. But the board was consulted, the board did opine, and I have had several conversations with several members of the board to make sure that persons on the board, outside of the small group, small subcommittee that worked on this, were aware, and they've all said to me yes.
And that was borne out by the release. I just wanted to be clear on that. Sorry about that, Siobhan. That the release from the NWC board did say. Say that again?
No, but the board has already spoken for themselves as it relates to them being
right
in the loop, so to speak. But there's one other point that I think is worthy of explanation as it relates to water in particular. Cross-subsidy in water distribution is very normal. So whether it is by geography or by economic base or by commercial customers offsetting costs for residential customers, it's very normal. So for instance, the most expensive water distribution in the country is indeed sections of Mandeville and Manchester, because you pump uphill pretty much from the pepper wells all the way through gutters, all the way up to Mandeville, and you keep going uphill and you keep going uphill. So the electricity cost does not allow us to recover the rate because you have a national rate. So that's the construct that we have. So cross-subsidy, saying this group pays that group, well, that's the case right across the country and in the water sector now. If the suggestion is that you want a multi-rated system, then the opposition should say that. But certainly anyone, as the opposition spokesman was, who I believe was a Minister of State in water, should be very clear that cross-subsidy in water exists at every level of water consumption in this country, because the persons in the hills are often subsidized by those on the plains. That's the nature of water distribution. So to single out groups to say they're subsidizing that, it depends on where they live. Because our pensioner in Mandeville is being subsidized by a pensioner in Kingston. That's the nature of it. It depends on the distribution costs where you are.
But Minister, before we lose you, I still want to ask you, you said that the NWC opined, or I should say the board opined on this decision. While I can imagine that it is ultimately up to the government to decide which way they want to take these kinds of policies, was the NWC on board with this decision to forego quite a bit of revenue?
The board has spoken in clear, succinct, and direct terms. I don't know that I need to speak for the board. The board has already spoken for themselves, and we support the statement that they would have made, and it clearly says that they support the initiative. And the reason they support the initiative, they also spoke to, because we have run a similar pilot in Portmore and had success that saw increase in revenue and cash flow on the balance sheet related to the area in question. So this is an expansion of an existing policy, an existing program, which is seeking to get inactive accounts back into the system, because in many cases you're already paying to provide them with water, because I assure you they have to access water to live, one way or another. So it is in the interest of the NWC, in the interest of the country, and in the interest of the individual customer to get back into the system formally and be paying on a monthly basis. It has helped our cash flow immeasurably in Portmore, and we expect that it will have the same effect. But the primary motivation at this stage, where Jamaica is in its development, is to show some care. It is to ensure that those who are burdened with this albatross, this debt around their neck, get a break and get the chance to re-enter the formal system, as well as we deal with the cost of living issues. And this is what this initiative is targeted at.
And just finally, Minister, for those who are interested in taking advantage of this amnesty, can we get some clearly outlined criteria on their part, as in what they will be required to provide to the NWC to benefit, so that we don't run into issues where they run up to the deadline and they say, oh, well, I couldn't benefit for X reason because I couldn't provide this, I couldn't provide that, blah, blah.
We certainly will not leave it to the opposition or those who don't verify stories to publish. We'll publish clearly worded ads that will give the public all the information they need. It will be in the mainstream media, it will be online, and we'll also engage at the community level as we do on a consistent basis.
Thank you, Minister. Really appreciate the time and the thoughts.
Thank you.
Siobhan, before we go, just to read for those who may not have seen this, and I was really stumped by this. The NWC's release says the board of the NWC takes note of the comments made by Mr. Ian Hayes, opposition spokesperson on water, and wishes to advise the public that these assertions are false. The Board of Commissioners was consulted before the announcement and given the opportunity to provide feedback to strengthen the policy direction. So they gave feedback. And then the NWC says this announcement is an extension of the NWC's receivables management plan already in operation in Portmore. The board fully supports the plans announced by the Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation to ease the burden of the cost of living for Jamaicans while providing greater access to water. When I saw this, I had to check the NWC itself because the initial reaction was, how is it possible at all that the opposition spokesman on water, Sir Siobhan, and listeners
say something with such confidence
on a public
platform
and say the board was not consulted? I mean, I was
shocked to have heard it, that the board would not have been consulted before that move was announced. And he said it with such confidence that in the moment I didn't even question it. It's very dangerous for that kind of misinformation to be sent out.
And Siobhan, I wondered to myself, what kind of governance are they suggesting to us that they'll bring to the table if you are going to go out there and do something as elementary as this, an error? It's unbelievable. But that's all we have time for.
The headlines are next, listeners and viewers.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The National Water Commission, NWC, is owed almost $58 billion in unpaid bills in excess of 6 months. Minister with responsibility for water, Matthew Samuda, made the revelation at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing at the office of the Prime Minister.
The NWC's age receivables, which covers receivables existing above 6 months, is approximately 58 billion Jamaican dollars. As a subset of this, receivables related to debts existing for longer than 2 years is in excess of $45 billion. So 6 months to 2 years is $13 billion, and above 5 years is $38 billion. So 2 years to 5 years is $7 billion. So when one contemplates above 5 years, having such a large number, you see just how uncollectible this volume has been and why this is so critically important to connect persons.
Meanwhile, Minister Samuda says about 30,000 NWC customers island-wide are expected to be the early beneficiaries of the amnesty once it's launched in January.
We will work closely with the Ministry of Labour, the RGD, and the NLA to ensure that those who qualify are verified. This amnesty offers benefit by our initial estimates to over 30,000 account holders. We expect that number to increase, and when that number is finalized, we will confirm same through the media.
Matthew Samuda, Minister with responsibility for water. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck is hinting at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers. He made the disclosure while addressing a Justice of the Peace swearing-in ceremony in Trelawney.
And the government is prepared and determined to fight back. And that is why, apart from gang legislation, I will soon take to Parliament. Those gangs who are killing 2 or more people, the death sentence may well be there for them. We haven't imposed it yet, but it may well be there. And let it go back up to the Privy Council to get life sentence back. But we have to start sending the signal that some of these gangsters must be out of the community forever.
While anticipating a potential legal challenge, Minister Chuck says more must be done to combat gangs. While murderers While murders, on average this year continue to trend below 2023 figures, the JCF has noted a disturbing increase in mass shootings. The minister says without intervention, the country may face a problem similar to Haiti and El Salvador of the past that could require far more drastic action. And Education Minister Senator Dana Morris Dixon says bomb threats to schools across the island are terrorizing students. She was reacting to Monday's latest bomb hoax at Meadowbrook High School in St. Andrew. Senator Morris Dixon says the police are actively investigating the latest threat.
The bomb threats is obviously one that is an issue. I'm trying not to speak about it too much because I don't want to be giving these people who are doing it any more airtime than they really should get. They are terrorizing our children. They are preventing them from doing their work. It is not something that we should be giving a lot of publicity to. The police are on it, and they have some leads, and they are dealing with it, and we get updates periodically from the police on it, but it is something that's completely unacceptable.
Senator Dana Morris Dixon, Education Minister. Since the start of the year, several schools have been targets of bomb threats, which were later identified as hoaxes. Some of the schools affected include Campion College and Kingston College in St. Andrew and Homewood Technical High School in Manchester. The National Works Agency, NWA, is urging motorists to remain patient as persistent rainfall continues to disrupt road maintenance and repair efforts across the island. In a statement on Wednesday, the NWA acknowledged the growing frustration of road users. According to the NWA, the heavy rains have not only delayed critical maintenance, but have also affected the production of materials essential for repairs. As a temporary measure, the agency says it will use aggregate to fill potholes in affected areas in a bid to provide some relief to motorists. Motorists are being urged to exercise extreme caution, especially when driving over areas where potholes may be covered by water. Member of Parliament for West Portland, Darrell Vaz, says heavy rains on Monday night may have done significant damage to the parish. The country has been experiencing several weather events since the start of an active hurricane season in June. He says roads and houses in both West and East Portland have been damaged by landslides.
We have been getting non-stop rain from Saturday in Portland, both East and West Portland. But between Saturday night and Sunday, we have had severe damage. We have had a road that has broken away to go to Bangaridge and Maho. We have several landslides. We have major damage in terms of people's houses that are now perilously perched on the side of gullies and hillsides, not to mention landslides and other infrastructure damage. Many homes have been flooded out, and it continues.
That's Darrell Vaz, Member of Parliament for West Portland. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Get ready for the lowest prices of the year at the Active Home Center Black Friday sale in Kingston and Montego Bay. Save big on tiles, bathroom fixtures, furniture, lighting, and more just in time for the holidays. Join us now until Saturday, November 30 for unbeatable deals you won't want to miss. Visit our newly relaunched Montego Bay location at Barnett Tech Park at the intersection of Fairfield and Barnett Street, or our upgraded Kingston showroom at 84 Constant Spring Road. Conditions apply. Active Home Center. More savings, more choices.
Mazda is bringing the magic this Christmas. Get a 2-year service package, 1 year free insurance, license, registration, and free window tinting, plus 3 months of payments on us. But hurry, deal ends December 31. Conditions apply. Mazda, more style, more value, more smiles per mile.
Are you ready for real rewards this Christmas? Reel in big cash prizes and big appliances with Rainforest Real Rewards. On now at supermarkets island-wide. Enter to win cash prize of $500,000 or a stove or fridge. Any 2 Rainforest products, including shrimp, and enter online or WhatsApp between November 1 and December 15. Each receipt is an entry. Enter as many times as you want. This Christmas, win real rewards. Only with Rainforest. Authorized by the BGLC. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Defending champions Glenmuir High School thrashed Ocherias High 5-1 at the National Stadium a short while ago to book a spot in their second straight ISA Champions Cup final. It was Ocherias who took the lead after 21 minutes thanks to Keneal Brown. Glenmuir then took over the game with goals from Orel Miller, Dustin Cohen, Orient Watson with his 33rd goal of the season, and Ronaldo Campbell. The second semi-final between Hydel and Jamaica College is set to kick off at 6:15 at the same venue. Defending champions Real Madrid suffered their third defeat of the European Champions League campaign after losing 2-0 away to English Premier League leaders Liverpool at Anfield. Argentina's World Cup winner Alexis McAllister gave Liverpool the lead on 52 minutes before Cody Gakpo headed home in the 76th minute for Liverpool's first win over Real Madrid in their last 9 meetings.
McAllister, here's Bradley again. McAllister! It's speed coming! Liverpool have hidden Real Madrid in since the break and wouldn't take no for an answer. Alexis McAllister is the goal scorer. Oh, it's easy. Cody Gakpo on the post. Just had to get off the ground, get his head to it. Nobody marking him. Delicious cross. Liverpool are 2 up.
Mo Salah for Liverpool and Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid both failed to convert penalties. In other games, Aston Villa had a goal ruled out by VAR with the very last kick of the game, and they had to settle for a goalless draw with Juventus at Villa Park. Benfica beat Monaco 3-2. Dinamo Zagreb crashed a 3-0 at home to last season's beaten finalists Borussia Dortmund, and Celtic played out a 1-1 draw with Club Brugge. Coach of the national champions Cavalier Rudolph Speed says he's satisfied with his team's 1-0 win over Cibao FC of the Dominican Republic in the first leg of the Caribbean Club Football Championship final at the National Stadium last night. Shaquille Stein scored the lone goal on 28 minutes. Speed says they were able to achieve several of their goals.
There was a number of objectives that we had, and one of them was to not concede because of the away goal rule, so we achieved that. The other one was to try to get a lead. We didn't get a big enough lead as we would have wanted, but I'll take what happened today anytime over another score.
Rudolph Speed. The teams will meet in the return leg on December 3 in the Dominican Republic. The winner over 2 legs will be crowned Caribbean champions and gain a bye to the round of 16 in next season's CONCACAF Champions Cup, while the runner-up will go directly to the group stage of the Champions Cup. West Indies Cricket has confirmed, Cricket West Indies that is, they've confirmed that Barbados Pride captain Raymond Reefer and Jamaica Scorpions skipper John Campbell will face disciplinary action for the infringement of the Code of Conduct after they refused to turn up for the toss in the rain-affected CG United Super 50 Cup day-night final last Saturday at the Brian Lara Stadium. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket Miles Bascom, in expressing his disappointment in the actions of the team captains, says the laws are quite clear. Reefer and Campbell failed to show for the toss after the match officials made the decision that conditions were safe to play and the reduced 20-over match after more than 5 hours had been lost to rain. The game was set to start at 1 p.m. local time. The ground staff worked tirelessly to get the facility in a condition that would be deemed safe for play, which led to the match officials informing the captains at 5:43 to report for the toss at 6 for a 6:17 start, but the captains did not show. Bascom says the focus will be on the actions of the captains, while further investigation will be needed to determine if they acted alone or on the advice of their respective backroom staff. Captains will now decide if they are going to accept the charges and the penalties proposed, or whether they are going to dispute them. The matter will be heard by the disciplinary committee and will be ruled upon a little later. As a result of the forfeiture, neither team will be paid. Both captains were called to meetings by their respective boards, Reefer on Monday in Barbados and Campbell on Tuesday here in Kingston. The JCA is expecting a written report on the matter from Campbell and the coaching staff. The West Indies cricket team arrived in Jamaica today ahead of the second test against Bangladesh at Sabina Park starting on Saturday. The Windies lead the two-test series 1-0 following their 201-run victory in the first game. Coach of the team, Andre Coley, says he expects the pitch to favour the home team.
Home advantage, we try to have those conversations to ensure that the style of cricket that we want to play, that we get the surface that facilitates that and encourages that. We'll make a final decision. I think it's too far away to make that decision. We saw here we had to make a change because of what was happening. So we're confident that based on what we have requested, similar to here, that we will get it. But a final decision will be made on that.
Andre Coley. Jamaica's Shanella Henry and Rashada Williams have been named in a West Indies 14-member women's squad for a multi-format series tour of India in December. The tour comprises 3 T20 internationals and 3 one-day internationals, providing a significant opportunity for the team to compete against one of cricket's leading nations. The T20 series will commence on December 15, followed by the ODI series at the Vadodara International Cricket Stadium on December 22. This one-day international segment carries crucial points for the ICC Women's Championship. Currently ranked 6th in both T20 and one-day internationals, the West Indies women will face third-ranked India in what promises to be a compelling series. The team's last white ball encounter in India in 2016 saw the West Indies triumph 3-0 in the T20s before India claimed the one-day international series 3-0. Following their semi-final appearance at the ICC Women's T20 World Cup in Dubai, the Maroon Warriors face an Indian side that recently secured a 2-1 one-day international series victory against the reigning ICC Women's T20 World Champions New Zealand. Other members of the squad, Captain Hayley Matthews, Vice Captain Shemaine Campbell, Adia Alain, Shamila Connell, Nerissa Crafton, Deandra Dotting, Afi Fletcher, and Shakiba Gejnabi. Zadie James, Kiana Joseph, Mandy Mangru, Ashmina Munisar, and Karishma Rahmarak are also in the squad. The Cricket West Indies has announced an innovative development program that will see 7 of the region's most promising young cricketers embark on a specialized training camp at the Chennai Super Kings Academy in India next month. Accompanied by West Indies Academy head coach Ramesh Subak Singh, the assistant coach Rohan Nurse, the group departs for India on November 29 ahead of the 2-week intensive program, which runs from December 1 to 14. This significant investment in the future of West Indies cricket focuses on nurturing the region's elite under-25 talent pool. Among the selected prospects are 3 contracted franchise players, Kurt McKenzie, Matthew Nandu, and Kevin Wickham, along with current and former West Indies Academy players Teddy Bishop and Joel Andrew, former West Indies under-19 players Jordan Johnson and Akeem August, who have already shown impressive potential in regional cricket. Participants will engage in a 2-day match and 3 white ball fixtures as part of their specialized training at the CSK Academy, which is geared towards helping the batsmen improve their performance against spin bowling in overseas conditions where it may be prevalent. Prime Minister Andrew Holness was amongst the many dignitaries at the National Indoor Sports Centre to witness the Sunshine Girls lift the Rowan Hornsby Trophy following their 61-53 win over the England Roses last night.
Girls played very well. They showed resilience. They came from behind and they fought really hard. And when they got the lead, they maintained it. So I was very impressed with them. And it was very exciting. I must tell you, and I know my football fans are going to be upset, but this was more exciting than the match, last match at the stadium. Oh Lord, I always give support to the Netball Association. And we do as much as we can. Jamaica is always doing very well in sports, and it is my deep and burning desire to be able to provide more resources. And as soon as we are able to, we will increase our support to all the sporting associations in Jamaica.
Prime Minister, you no longer have any football friends. They're not going to welcome you back to the stadium. But I agree with you. The netball was riveting last night. And let's close out. The Minister of Sports, Olivia Green, she was there as well. And she has pledged to refurbish the Sunshine Chalet, which houses the national netball teams, located at 17 Wickham Road in Barbican. The residence was handed over to Netball Jamaica by the government of Jamaica in 2010. The facility was built to house players of various national programs during training camps, seminars and meetings. However, the facility has fallen into disrepair over the years. Minister Green says it's time to restore the facility to its former glory.
We have really contributed a lot to their development. We give them a monthly subvention through the Sports Development Foundation, and we are going to be renovating the netball house through funding from the Ministry of Economic Growth, right? Which is, of course, the minister is the minister for that ministry, and he's providing the funding to restore the house.
That's Olivia Green, Sports Minister. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
With Jamaica Automobile Association, membership is a win-win. Enter the JAA Fuel Up promotion and you could win the grand prize of JAA Gold membership for 1 year, plus fuel valued at $240,000. Just purchase, renew or upgrade your JAA membership or use your individual JAA Advance card to buy at least $10,000 of fuel a month. So, fuel up! There's also monthly prizes of $20,000 in fuel. Enter now. JAA Fuel Up promotion ends December 13, 2024. Conditions apply.
Shop and win a mega kitchen from Megamart. Spend $6,000 or more before GCT at any Megamart location and fill out the entry form provided for a chance to win a brand new stove, fridge, and microwave this Christmas from Appliance Traders Limited. Visit us on social media to win monthly prizes courtesy of Lasco, Grace Foods, and Facey Commodity Company Limited. Promotion runs from September 30 to December 6th. Shop now to win a mega kitchen from Megamart. The best value by far. Conditions apply. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Are you ready? Join us on November 28th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Youth Day. Enjoy our Business Expo, get expert leadership advice, and explore diverse program offerings. Join a live panel discussion on youth leadership in the digital age and many more exciting presentations. You don't want to miss this. UCC's Youth Day, November 28th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. 17 Worthington Avenue, Kingston 5. For more information, visit ucc.edu.jm.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit accounts puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
On Thursday, November 28th, it's all about the youths. It's Youth Day at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, UCC, 17 Worthington Avenue, Kingston. The E-Zone will be on location from 1 to 5 p.m. engaging the crowd and showcasing the talented youths. Find them on the UCC campus for a chance to win prizes and surprises. The UCC Youth Day will be filled with activities, the Latin America and Caribbean Internet Roadshow, the Youth Leadership in the Digital Age Panel Discussion, Expo, Talent Show, and much more. Plus, interact with your favorite brands like Nature Valley, Yummy, and more. Tune in and catch the E-Zone on Thursday, November 28th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the UCC campus. Come on down to 17 Worthington Avenue, Kingston for all the prizes and surprises. It's Youth Day at the UCC. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean.
Taboo topics. Boy things after dark.
Riveting discussions.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between. Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m. Boyatings After Dark. No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. I can finally say that it is midweek, a Wednesday. Yeah, it's midweek. Only Thursday and Friday left to go. For those of who of us that we're there at work and we have wait on the Friday. Yeah, it's midweek. A special good evening to our friends on YouTube or YouTubers. Thank you so much for joining us in our Public Opinion this evening. You have the option of commenting live in the comments section to our Public Opinion question. And let's get right to it. With the next general election on the horizon, we want to hear from you on voter motivation. Are you motivated to vote this time around? And if so, what's driving your decision? Is it confidence in leadership, dissatisfaction, or perhaps a pressing issue that affects your daily life? Light, water, road? I don't know. We want to hear from you, the people, and we're unpacking the reasons behind voter engagement. So in Public Opinion this evening, we're asking, are you motivated to vote in the next general election? And why? Yeah? I'm going to turn our attention quickly to our Instagram platform where Insta Elon is saying, the struggle of our foreparents and the meaning of our democracy are enough to motivate me to vote. For me, voting is a way of saying thanks to those who fought for this and many other rights that I enjoy today. All right. Tara's chick is saying, yes, I'm motivated. I can't allow the PNP to come in and change the path of progression that the country is on. All right. Hawkeye is saying, yes, I am very motivated to vote for the PNP. Me, my family's friends, and all my students are ready to vote for the PNP. All right. Dominus is saying, very motivated. Can't allow the PNP to set us back. Wendy Approve is saying, yes, after Sunday, I make up my mind. JPS did a kill me. Me did have to go vote for the green people, them. Then them call it. Okay, when them call it. All right. King Kells is saying, yes, I'm motivated to vote for my future children and the next generation. We have made great strides with the JLP government, so we must stay the course. Chris Duncan is saying, you notice with the question, never ask you who you vote for, do me just say. The question this evening, are you motivated to vote in the next general election and why? But still, we welcome it. Chris Duncan is saying, I am motivated to vote because of the lies and misinformation against our PM and Jamaica through their proxy groups. Okay. The Real JA says, yes, the Andrew Holness administration has distinguished itself with proven track record and achievement. Just Shelley says, yes, I am very motivated to vote. Also coming from Donovan saying, very motivated to vote. Absolutely coming from Rodrigo Cowan. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of yes, yes, yes. Yes, I used to say I won't, but definitely will. That's coming from 40-ish fine. And also, I'm seeing a lot of yes. Yeah? It looks like we're going to have a good voter turnout in our next general election. Come and see a whole heap of yes, and certainly and very motivated I'm seeing. All right, so let me switch gears now and go on over to our X platform where Wenty Cent is saying, all if me dead before the election call, me dopey will rise with the sun on election day to mark the X. Me don't know how the part they work, you know. Wenty Cent, I don't know how the part they work, but yeah, okay. Don Messi says yes, because this JLP government is doing a lot to improve our lives. Graham Jervis is saying, no matter what, I have to complain, which means voting, even if it's for the best of the worst. Yeah? While Delano is saying, nope, Active problems of young people aren't being addressed. Haven't seen one proposed policy that represents my interest. Example, mandate NHT to make way more affordable housing for young people. All right. Andre Lawrence is saying, yes, I'm highly motivated. Growing up in Jamaica during the late 80s and early 90s, I witnessed the hardship and the stagnation of the country's development during that time. And he's saying that he's determined to ensure we never return to those days. Yeah? Yvette is saying, yes, I have a great leader, one I've never seen in many years. A passionate leader who, despite all the disrespect dishing out at him, he's still standing tall. Tia Davis is saying, yes, with my 18 years old, government has stabilized the economy, opportunities for the youth, crime on the decline, health infrastructure deal with, and she's listing out a whole lot of things right here. Laura Lee says, I believe it's very necessary to vote. Yeah? Let me see if I can get in a few more on our Facebook platform real quick. Soon come over to our YouTubers. I'll be over there. The question we're asking, are you motivated to vote in the next general election and why? Let's talk about voting. Oral Wallace is saying JLP is where the thing there. I'm a don't talk. Michelle Bernard is saying performance over propaganda. Thus all being well, I will be voting. Winston says, yes, as soon as I'm aware of the date, my flight will be booked. Yeah? And for those of you who are overseas in the diaspora, you know, we just want to ask you too. Are you coming home? You're coming home to vote? Original Boss Lady says, yes, I'm motivated by the hard work of the JLP government. Karen Gordon is telling us to read my lips. Read her lips. Yes, she's motivated to vote for the JLP. All right. Milton is saying yes. And he has listed, wow, a number of reasons why. Crime rate trending down, the increase in duty-free rate, increase in salaries of public sector, reduction of GCT, the amnesty. All right, a whole heap of things in my list out, yeah? Let me see if I can get in our YouTubers now. Soon come back to Facebook. Are you motivated to vote and why? Shanna Scott is saying yes. Because of the leadership of the country, I'm highly motivated. Yeah. Marcia Smith also saying yes, yes. Robert Lyons, yes, motivated to vote. Lorna said, me and my neighbor always a vote for Labour. All right. Custis Brown saying, well motivated to vote for Labour. Yeah. William Murphy says, I could never vote 400 Wellness. I'm coming home, but I would never vote for Andrew Holness. Yeah? Dennis Barnaby says, Miss Roby, I'm begging you to vote for me on if that's possible. Oh, boy. Unfortunately, I can't. Dwayne Woody is saying, yes, I'm motivated to vote. Andrew Holiness is doing a fabulous job, not going back to Lackness. And okay, wow. Cheryl is saying, yes, one bro God, Geneva. I will definitely be voting as I see all the things this government doing. Never before in the history of Jamaica have I seen so much clinics renovated, fire stations refurbished, hospitals built. Yeah. Student for life, I am motivated to exercise my democratic rights. The administration has made significant improvement to our country. Like me say, based on the response, if we alone, on public opinion this evening, if we alone did I go vote, we'd go out, go vote, we'd have 100% voter turnout. Because I've only read about 2 persons who say, no, I'm not motivated to vote. I'm trying to scroll up to see if I have any more, but all I'm seeing is I am motivated to vote. I'm going to exercise my civic duty. I want to vote. That's all I'm seeing, yeah? That's all I'm seeing here. I am motivated to vote. Wow. Yeah. Patrick Samuel says, I am motivated to vote for the JLP, the bigger, better party. Kern Smith, of course I'm going to vote. Always voted for the same party. I will not follow anybody. PP is saying that I'm coming home to vote for the JLP. Samantha Gordon says, yes, very motivated by Andrew to vote. Tedris says, I have to vote to stop the lies and empty announcements by the present government. Yeah? Cheryl is saying that she'll also be coming home to vote. Yeah? And I like that. I like that. Bring up the numbers, them. Because we've been worrying about voter apathy. I think it's something of concern. We've seen a steady decline in voter turnout over the period. General election, local government election. But I'm happy to see that many are motivated to vote, to exercise their duty, their right to vote. SC is asking, how do you register to vote? The Electoral Office of Jamaica, the EOJ. Juliet Sanchez says, you'll be coming home to vote also. Yeah? All right. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. I did not get to read all the comments, cause God know them did wallop, but I do appreciate you for commenting, for responding. And remember, you do have the option of agreeing and or disagreeing, because what? You're entitled to your own opinion. That's all the time, but do stay tuned for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:34. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Gas prices will see a slight decrease effective Thursday, November 28. That's tomorrow. The state-owned oil refinery Petrojam says E1087 is to move down by 28 cents per litre. And a litre of E1090 will go down by 33 cents per litre. Automotive diesel oil will move up by $2.07 per litre. Ultra-low sulfur diesel will see an increase of $2.03 per litre. The price of kerosene will go up by $1.10. And in the meantime, propane cooking gas will go up by $1.20, while butane will move up by $1.10 per litre. Further afield, Ford UK has called on the government to introduce incentives to encourage drivers to buy electric vehicles as an industry backlash grows over sales targets. Ford UK's chair and managing director Lisa Brankin told the BBC that without demand, a government mandate to produce and sell more electric vehicles just doesn't work. The comments add to a growing row between the government and the industry over the sale of new petrol and diesel cars being phased out over the next few years. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 25 cents to buy $1 US, 198 Jamaican dollars and 93 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 113 Jamaican dollars and 76 cents, that should be, to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
IQ Optical's Black Friday frame sale is back. Get your trendy optical frame or a frame for every occasion. Come and enjoy 50% off frames in stock. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical New Kingston, Meadow Park or Draxall.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit accounts puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
I saw you want to live. I walk and look over your shoulder. No sleep at night. I wonder if your family safe. Your mother, your brother, your sister, your youth them. And when you get catch, are you alone? But not there to help you. You have to talk for yourself a quote. And then when you're gone behind the bars, them see you on their road. I live them life and I enjoy life. Gang violence don't make no sense. Leave gang violence alone. Let's work together and make Jamaica a safer and peaceful country. Let's all live good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Pay nothing down on a shiny, brand new Hyundai vehicle with free loan payments until March 2025. Yes, get a 2024 Hyundai vehicle and get free loan payments until March 2025. 100% financing, 2 years free service, 0 processing fees, and other sweet goodies. Drive into the new year with your new ride. Goodbye, old car. Hello, Hyundai. For free payments promotion. Limited stock available. Offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Shop at Mark's Superstore Furniture and Hardware, located in Lioneltown and Portland Cottage Fair, Clarendon.
They have hardware items, furniture, televisions, washing machines, freezers, refrigerators, beds and bedding, household appliances, home accessories, and more.
Every Thursday, get 10% discount on cooking gas, excluding deliveries.
Visit any of their 2 locations or call 876-919-6067.
Mark's Superstore Furniture and Hardware, quick and fast delivery.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Good evening. Welcome back, listeners and viewers. It is 6:39 and it's now time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Of the evening to all our listeners and viewers, I'm Tyrone Reid.
Welcome back, Tyrone. How are you doing?
Not too shabby for a middle-aged guy. Still the same, my brother.
Are we roughly about the same age? Last time I checked.
Nah, not at all. I'm in my 40s. You're
okay. I always thought you were younger than that, you know.
You're way too kind.
You still have the visage of a young youth.
You're way too charitable.
I have grey hair, Dana. That means nothing.
What did Dana say? What did Dana say?
Dana says I'm old just because I have grey hairs. I've had grey hair since I was 17, 18.
I'm sure I have more gray hairs than you do, Siobhan. So.
Well, let's get into it. Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck is hinting at legislation that could place the death sentence on the table for mass murderers. He made the disclosure while addressing a Justice of the Peace swearing-in ceremony in Trelawney earlier today. While anticipating a potential legal challenge, the Justice Minister says more must be done to combat gangs.
And the government is prepared and determined to fight back. And that is why, apart from gang legislation, I will soon take to Parliament those gangs who are killing 2 or more people. The death sentence may well be there for them. We haven't imposed it yet, but it may well be there. And let it go back up to the Privy Council and they get life sentence back. But we have to start sending the signal that some of these gangsters must be out of the community forever.
The Justice Minister Delroy Chuck, he went on to say without intervention, the country may face a problem similar to that of Haiti and El Salvador. of the past that could require far more drastic action. While murders, on average, this year continue to trend below 2023 figures, the JCF has noted a disturbing increase in mass shootings involving more than one victim or multiple victims. Opposition spokesman on national security, Peter Bunting, on Tuesday called for action on the part of the government to address the trend. The Minister of Justice, Delroy Chuck, he joins us now to discuss this matter further. Top of the evening to you, Minister Chuck. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Hi, good evening. I am not too sure who are your hosts this evening. I heard Tyrone.
It's me, Minister Siobhan Campbell. Good evening.
Hi, Siobhan. How are you?
Doing quite well, Minister. So right into it, Minister. Is this new legislation, amended legislation?
Not really, but we need to just clarify it, Siobhan. Truth of the matter is that we have this far too many incidents of mass murders where, willy-nilly, a group of boys just go and shoot up some areas. And you have, like having Walton Park, 5 murders. In Rockford, a number of murders. And the truth of the matter is the government needs to send a signal. When you have these mass murders, we really need to instruct the DPP, or we need to adjust the legislation that when you have these mass murders, capital murder, where the penalty is death, should be imposed.
Minister, when we talk about capital murder with the death penalty on the table, the quantity of victims is not included? Is it just the heinous nature of the crime?
Well, the truth of the matter is that the legislation which was promulgated 20 odd years ago segregated capital murders from non-capital murders. In relation to capital murders, we have outlined several instances where once you're charged and it could be capital murder, then it's not clear. And let me be very frank. But one of the things we want to do is to make it very clear that if you engage in mass killing, 2 or more murders, like in these gang warfares, then it must be capital murder, and the sentence must be death or life imprisonment without parole.
So this would be similar to the mandatory minimums that were recently put in place for certain capital offenses?
That is correct. So that in the past, we have had where a number of instances, such as where you kill a judicial officer, you kill during the course of a robbery, and these are capital murder. We want to make it very clear that if you engage in the killing of 2 or more persons in mass murders, then the charge and the indictment and the sentence should be death sentence or life imprisonment without parole.
Minister Chuck, how confident are you? Because the law remains on the books. It has been that way for years, and no one is being hanged for these capital crimes. And in 2016, I'm looking at an article here in 2016, Minister, posted by Nationwide News Network in the immediate aftermath of your then cabinet colleague, Robert Montague, who was National Security Minister, asking the then State Minister, Pernell Charles Jr., to determine whether there are any legal impediments to the resumption of hanging. You, addressing a gathering, said at the time, Minister, that this whole thing of resuming hanging might not be possible, because let me read a quote here from the article. Mr. Chuck says there are unsurmountable legal barriers to hanging being resumed in Jamaica. He says these barriers include delays in disposing of cases and appeals by special interest groups. Have things changed, Minister, or do you still hold this view?
No, to be frank with you, when we decide that we should have the death penalty, we should ensure that all the legal processes, all the human rights conditionalities are complied with, so that I agree. Before you can impose the death penalty on someone, it's very important that the processes should be engaged. And
absolutely. I didn't get from it that you were suggesting otherwise, Minister. But what I'm saying is your view in 2016 was that these barriers are insurmountable, that we can't get around them. So read another way, meaning we really won't be able to resume hanging. So why would we advance it now for mass shootings and killings if you are of the view that these barriers remain insurmountable?
No, the truth of the matter is that sometimes you have to just, go and ensure that it is done. Because these mass killings are so, they happen so often that it may not be a bad idea that, notwithstanding that we have not had the death penalty since 1988, it may well be that if you do it every now and then, it would send the right signal. And that is why, although I will say personally, I'm against the death penalty. But if you impose it every now and then, it may well send the right signal so that we can cut out these mass killings, especially from the gangs who feel that they have nothing to stop them from engaging in these mass killings.
I'm completely sympathetic towards what you're putting.
Hold that thought, Tyrone. We're up on a break. So hold that thought,
let's
gentlemen.
take a break and come back.
Payroll made simple and secure. Get automated with BizPay, an integrated payroll and HR solution powered by MC Systems. Contact them today. The time by MC Systems is
6:49.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Are you ready? Join us on November 28th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Youth Day. Enjoy our Business Expo, get expert leadership advice, and explore diverse program offerings. Join a live panel discussion on youth leadership in the digital age and many more exciting presentations. You don't want to miss this. UCC's Youth Day, November 28th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. 17 Worthington Avenue, Kingston 5. For more information, visit ucc.edu.jm.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to The Nation's Business, where we're talking about capital punishment for mass murderers. We have Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck with us. Tyrone, you can continue.
I was saying, Minister, I'm completely sympathetic to the argument you're advancing in terms of putting forward a legislative deterrent for mass killings. I completely understand where you're coming from, but if the legal barriers, as you suggested in 2016, are insurmountable, to resume hanging. For example, are we at the place now where we can exhaust all the legal steps that are available to those who are so accused and convicted? The trials, the speedy trial, a speedy appeal process, because we still have issues with regards to transcripts and whatnot. If are we able to navigate the steps now allowed for under law without breaching that Pratt and Morgan ruling that says if they wait for a certain number of years, it now becomes inhumane. You can't execute them again. Are we at that place, Minister? Because if we're just saying this in order to put the fear of God in people who are hell bent on carrying out mass killings, I'm not so certain that just saying it, paying lip service to it, is going to be a deterrent. We have to be able to go through all the paces and actually execute the death penalty to put the fear of God in some of these folks.
Tyrone, cut to the chase.
Yes.
We have to get to a situation, where the people are fed up with the amount of killings and mass killings in this country. It's happening in El Salvador, and it is now happening in Haiti. The people are tired of these mass killings. You have a situation in El Salvador where Bukele decided, in spite of everything that we hold dear about human rights, lock up 70,000 youngsters and the murder rate went down to zero. There comes a point, Tyrone, and I'm not saying we're there, and I hate that we should ever get there. But if we don't take some strong measures to get rid of these killers in our community, we're going to be in a situation where the people believe we're not only weak, soft, but we're jokers. The people are hurting, Tyrone. And the sooner we send a signal to those bastards, those miscreants who believe that they can pull their gun and kill off people, that when we catch you, we send you away for life, then, although you know that I'm against the death penalty, but sometimes I have to change my position and say we need to do it.
But Minister, I'm surprised by your tone, because I recall not too long ago you had spoken out against that El Salvador model, suggesting that it's not something you'd want to see pursued here in Jamaica. And I know you're still suggesting that we haven't reached that point yet, but it seems based on your tone that you feel we're getting to that point.
Let me just make it very clear. There comes a point when you have to make decisions. And if the gangs in this country feel that they can take control of communities and kill as they feel that they can, then the government of this country, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Justice and the Minister of National Security may well have to lock up a whole heap of people, using the state of emergency if necessary, to ensure that the people of this country are protected. We can't allow the people of this country to be feared to be locked behind grills. As far as I'm concerned, we need to take some drastic action, send the right signal that we have to control those miscreants, those criminals who feel that they can control this country. We can't get to the face of Haiti and El Salvador. We must take action. And believe me, the Prime Minister, and I've heard him in small gatherings and in big gatherings, it's about time we send a signal that Jamaica must be a peaceful place.
I hear the frustration, Minister, and I share it. Yeah, I share the frustration. Jamaica is we kill way too many people, and some of these hoodlums need to understand that we're not going to be accepting of that. I hear and understand the frustration, but if we're going to do it, Minister, if we're going to go the route of saying we're going to try to utilize, is the justice system, which is really what I'm asking you, at the place where it can take these various steps that are available to individuals quick enough for the death penalty to be implemented. Is the justice system at that place now?
Let me just make the point very clear. I think we have to overcome the niceties. No one can ever complain that Delroy Chuck has not engaged in all the niceties, with all the nuances of what is right and what is wrong. But we're at a stage where the criminal gangs have gone past the niceties, and it's about time we overcome the niceties and say, where you engage in mass killings, we have to deal with you. Bakele in El Salvador had to deal with that. We have a challenge in Haiti now, that if we don't deal with the gangs in Haiti, Haiti will be a basket case, and Jamaica cannot get to that stage. The Prime Minister is determined, and the government is determined, that the gangs in this country must be dismantled, and where we catch them and we can get the evidence to deal with them. Either we have to the death penalty, or we put them away for life.
Minister, I see that the matter regarding the constitutionality of the SOEs, seems it's about to finally come to its end in the court system. Once that matter, if you get a favorable ruling, or I should say the government gets a favorable ruling, will you be in support of what you're suggesting in terms of using those SOEs for mass detentions?
You know, Tyrone and all of you, and all your listeners, it's nice to deal with the niceties, you know. And anybody who knows me, I'm more legal niceties and challenges than anyone in this country. But at the end of the day, there are persons who don't have this country interest at heart. They're heartless criminals in this country that we have to deal with. And unless we deal with them, then all the niceties will remain niceties.
Understood, Minister. That is Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. Thank you for joining us this evening, Minister
All
Chuck.
The best to you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Minister. You know, Siobhan, I sense the minister's frustration. I share it. And, you know, something has to give in Jamaica. I was hoping this year we would have gone below that dreaded 1,000 figure. Yeah, and see, the mass shootings have pushed us over the mass killings have pushed us over that 1,000 mark. It has aided in doing that. And sometimes I wonder, in Siobhan, if these hoodlums are doing this deliberately, like they're looking at the murder figures and say, no, we can't allow it for it to be under 1,000.
As I understand, that came out of the Klansman gang trial, that they do follow these things and
yes,
realize
and
that when...
if that is...
Which is why whenever we brought up that figure, I kept knocking on wood saying, please, let's keep on track.
It's heartbreaking, and I do hope
but
that
it is telling, Tyrone, Minister Chuck is one of the most mild-mannered. He speaks his mind, but he's one of the most mild-mannered, reasonable individuals. If he has reached this point of frustration, and I can imagine that the cabinet, as in the governance of Jamaica, has reached that point of frustration, the headspace of where the Jamaican people are, I can only imagine where their point of frustration is at this point.
Which is why they're advancing these strong measures. And the truth is, Siobhan, all of us should. I've had enough. I've had enough for a long time now. You know, it's not today. I've had enough of us killing each other like this, and people just getting away with it. But the police are doing a better job now. Yeah, but we still need improvements there. But the truth is, Siobhan, we cannot solve this crime problem with niceties alone in Jamaica. It's going to take some tough situation. You know, the murder problem is so metastasized that it will require invasive surgery to cure it. That is
which
where
is
we
what
are now.
the minister is suggesting.
The notion that it's going to ordinary policing can do it. We've long gone past that, my brother.
Which is what the minister is suggesting.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see what comes in the coming days. As I said, that matter regarding the constitutionality of the SOEs, it's winding its way now through the courts. I expect that it won't be too long before we get a ruling one way or the other, and we'll see what comes after that. But that is the end of Nation's Business. It's now time for Think Like a Stockbroker, and that will be followed later in the program.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is
7:02.
Life is precious. Whether you're driving through the hills in the country, the town, or on the highway, remember, slow down and take it easy. Your family and friends are depending on you to get home safe. Speeding may save you minutes, but careful driving saves lives. Since the beginning of this year, 288 people have been killed in 247 crashes, so drive safe.
Brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Total Tools is having a Black Friday sale weekend! Sale, sale, sale! Up to 50% off select items, major discounts on tools, accessories, lighting, and electrical supplies. All Black Friday weekend long, Thursday, November 28 to Saturday, November 30. Move fast, only while stocks last. Visit Total Tools Kingston, Ocho Rios, or Drax Hall. Total Tools, we've got you totally covered.
Some see the glass half empty, others see the glass half full. You check if there's water in the tap, because smart investors think ahead. This is Sagicor Investments Think Like a Stockbroker, giving you a clearer perspective on the investment markets.
Good evening, listeners and viewers, and welcome to what is the season finale of Think Like a Stockbroker as we head into the festive holiday period. But it still remains the best place to get insights and help you navigate the market. Joining me again this week is Jodian Ayres. She's Sagicor Investments Assistant Vice President for Research and Strategy. And happy holidays to you, Jody. How are you doing?
Thank you. Happy holidays to you as well. I'm doing well. How are you?
Quite wonderful. This period of time, always such a joy.
Nice.
And we hope to leave our listeners and viewers with some wealth information to navigate this period as well as we do every other. And before we get into that, let's do a quick recap. When we discussed many of the companies last week, we did it around the theme of the area in which they operate, the industry that they form a part of. So just give us a brief recap as to why that is important.
So the industry is definitely important. And when it is that you're doing equity analysis in general, you want to look at the industry that a particular company is operating in. So, we tend to look a lot at the macro levels to say, what's happening with inflation and GDP and how that impacts a company. But also there are also specific features or factors that will impact a particular sector or industry that may not impact the whole economy. And it forms a good basis in how it is that you help to make your decisions. Just generally, there are some sectors that may be a little bit more risky than others. So as an investor, if you find yourself to be a little bit more on the conservative end, there are some industries that, may not be the type of industry that you would want to go in. But once it is that you're looking at a company, the industry analysis helps us to get an idea of, are there opportunities in this particular space and what sort of headwinds we can expect to see. So particularly if you think of our economy or, the Jamaican landscape in a pre-COVID era, one of the things that we're looking forward to was that for financial companies, there would actually be a reduction in the asset tax. And that would have had a good impact on those companies in that space. So it was something that was looked at as a positive. However, as we look at other areas, there are things, particularly as we look at a lot of the information now surrounding hotels and tourists and visitor arrivals, and we're seeing a little bit of dips there. We're looking, are there going to be further headwinds for companies that are operating within the tourism space? So it definitely helps you as an investor to get a picture of what it is that's likely to come in that industry. And also it helps us to see how it is that management reacts, because life is not static. So there are always going to be changes within your business environment, whether on a macro level, but it could also be within an industry. And you want to then see how it is that management is positioning a company to react to whatever changes are likely to come, whether positive or negative, how it is that they're maneuvering those to whether benefit from opportunities or offset some of the negatives that may come in a particular industry.
So it's very important to track companies and make sure they're adapting to the changes that are taking place around them.
Definitely.
I understand there has been at least one more very significant release in terms of economic data just a few days ago. Can you give us an insight into what that was?
Definitely. So we saw where the Statistical Institute would have published inflation data for October, and inflation is something that we have definitely been tracking right throughout from season one, because we feel that it impacts what's likely to happen in terms of policy rates and interest rates. And we saw where for the month of October, inflation actually moved further within BOJ's target. So it's actually coming out at 4.9% for the month of October, the point-to-point for October. But when it is that we looked at the month, so when we looked at prices on average for October relative to prices on average for September, the prior month, they're recording that prices relatively remained unchanged over that period of time. And, when you look at that full 12-month period, some of the things that would have had an impact in terms of prices or the upward movement, that 4.9 is actually related to the food and beverage, which is the larger segment of the basket that's used to measure prices. So we actually know that there's an increase in vegetable and agricultural produce, as well as there's an increase in the transport area in terms of costs for transportation. They're also pointed to that, there are also increases in terms of rental income, rental prices for homes, as well as their higher water and sewage prices, and that would have had largely an impact. And so we know that generally prices, trend upwards. We don't necessarily say prices coming down. And so a 4.9%, when you look in the context of where it is that we saw inflation outturn for September and August, is actually showing that there's a deceleration in that movement of prices. So the rate of growth in price is actually getting lower. And that brings a bit of a positive sentiment. It means that, what we had expected to see in terms of the impact of Hurricane Beryl, particularly on agricultural produce, is not as steep in terms of the prices as we thought it would have been. So, there was a bit of a watch to see whether it is that, whatever happened during that month in July would actually translate, and we'd see higher prices going forward, but we'll actually be seeing that prices have been somewhat of a recovery.
And the inflation information, when we look at that and assess it now, especially going into what is anticipated to be one of the busiest periods in terms of commercial activity, how important is it?
It's definitely important, because as we know, as we go into a festive season, and food is a big part of that season, and as we said, the food portion of the basket is really large, so there is going to be some impact, and there are periods of time we normally hear, particularly towards the end of the year, that these vegetable prices are super high, but persons are still going to make that effort, because it's going to be a big part of the meal that exists. So it's definitely something that we continue to watch, and you normally at points in terms of when you're doing economic data and projections, you tend to sometimes just look at the year-end numbers year over year to see what it is that we're likely to see. So it factors a lot into some of the projections that companies use going forward. So it is something that we definitely do heavily watch in terms of where it ends up towards year end.
I also understand, Jody, that the PIOJ also came up with some information not too long ago. What did that mean for Jamaica? As usual,
they'd provide a precursor to what is going to be the actual GDP numbers. So they give you an overall landscape of what's happening in the economy, which would be considered the preliminary numbers. So if you hear us talk, sometimes when we look at the US market, we'd say the first reading for GDP versus the second reading. And so what PIOJ does is provide just before the Statistical Institute will come out with their information. It tends to be 3 months after the quarter. They come in between that to give markets somewhat of a sentiment of what's likely to come. And so what they're showing is for July to September, there's actually their estimates is that the economy would have declined, which is something that we largely expected based on the fact that we had Hurricane Beryl, and that would have halted production in some areas. But I think the guidance, what was really important would be what it is that they're expecting for the October to December quarter. As it is that we do a little bit more look into the future, or what it is that we're likely expected to see coming, in the months ahead. And October to December, based on their estimation, is that they're likely to see a contraction. And best case results is that we could actually have a flat performance relative to October to December of 2023. And what would have been pushing this is also that we'd have had the tropical storm Raphael, which would have had some impact in terms of most companies would have had closed a day, and that would have had an impact on production, and the consistent rainfall that we have been seeing would have had some impact as well. Of note, they pointed to that the preliminary numbers for October show that there's actually a dip in tourist arrivals. And that's one of the key indicators that we have been actually looking at throughout the year. And we know there was a travel advisory that would have had some impact on the elections. And so it gives a bit of an update to what it is that we're likely to see. However, there is still some amount of sentiment surrounding tourist arrivals from hoteliers that are saying, post-election, they're seeing a little bit of more optimism in terms of booking. So they're, on the positive end, it could go a little bit better, particularly for the months of November as we get deeper into the winter season. So that would present a bit of, a little offsetting of what it is that we'd have seen in October. But generally, the October to December contraction is the main thing that I would take away, as well as when it is that you look, that would have impact at the full year calendar events, even that we'd have had growth for the first 6 months, but then the last 6 months, we're seeing that there is likely to be some amount of pull in terms of economic growth.
Interesting. And no, this all ties in. And we spoke about the industries. It's important to watch industries in which companies operate. We spoke about how inflation has shaped up due to the impact of the tropical storm and the hurricane recently. And now we even have the GDP information that also gives us another insight into how things are trending in terms of the impact of these various phenomena on the country.
It gives you a picture of what it is that you're likely to expect. And these are factors that we consider when it is that we sit down as analysts and we're looking at companies. We're looking at all of the factors that could have an impact on a particular company. So when it is that we give our recommendation, it's largely coming from the fact that we have looked at, what's likely to come, the historical information, what it is that we're seeing. It feeds quite a bit into that analysis, and it takes a little bit of time. As you said, you look at the industry and what is expected to come there as well.
Let's go overseas for a bit, because earnings call coming to an end now in the United States. Are there any companies that we should still be looking out for?
Well, I think watch heavily last week would have been NVIDIA. That's one that we spoke about. I think, it's currently the largest company in the world by market capitalization. And so it's heavily watched because that stock price seems to just continually be going up. I think year to date, the stock price movement is over 100% in terms of upward movement. And so it was heavily watched. And it's also quite a bit of as we have been speaking earlier in terms of some of the other companies in the tech space, AI is really what's driving a lot of innovation and a lot of expectations in the market. And NVIDIA would be a chip maker, and so that's a key portion of what goes into artificial intelligence. And so it's heavily watched, not just because, we're seeing the upward movements in price, but because it could give some insights as to what it is that we're supposed to be expecting within that artificial intelligence space. When the information was released, we noted that there would have been upward movements in terms of revenue and profits, and this would have been higher than what was actually expected from analysts, going into the earnings season. So they would have done their projections, and the company would have, outbeat or overperform based on what was largely expected. And, we also have been discussing that we look at companies in terms of the segments, not just the overall numbers. And the core of what it is, what accounts for the largest revenue would be the data center portion of it. And so that portion, that is the largest part of it, has actually been growing. And it points to the fact that we're seeing, as was discussed probably when we looked at Microsoft, that there is still a boom and expectation for AI.
Yes.
But on the not so good side, we noted that right after the results were released, the next morning in terms of pre-opening, there was actually a bit of a dip in terms of the price for NVIDIA. And what would have fed into that would have been would have been management's guidance in terms of what it is that they're expecting to see in the next quarter. So they're still expecting to see growth, but not as robust as we have been used, and that would have had a bit of an impact in terms of the market perception.
Considering we are again in this festive period, it's the season of gift giving and holiday cheer, would you recommend to our listeners that they consider providing a stock as a gift to someone?
I mean, I may be a little bit biased, but I think it's really a good idea to provide stock as a gift option. At Sagicor Investments, we definitely do allow for you to, purchase a gift certificate for somebody to open a stock brokerage account. So we make it quite easy for you to facilitate something like that. And one of the reasons why I really like the idea of giving stocks as a gift is that particularly for younger children, it presents an opportunity to learn about investing. While it may not be the gift that, evokes the most excitement, particularly for a child or somebody who is younger, what you'd find is that later on, when it is that, that stock price would have probably, tripled over or, increased quite a few times over, that you'd be quite happy, with that gift that you'd have gotten at a younger stage. And also what I've noted is that most persons who whether received, stocks as gifts, whether as teens or, young adults, they have stayed in investing. It presented an opportunity for them to be introduced to it, and it's something that they have stuck with. So it is a good opportunity to add it as part of your gift giving package. I mean, you may not for younger children necessarily, just do stocks, could do, a traditional toy, along with something like that. And it's not just limited to children. I mean, adults can, receive stocks as gift as well. Particularly, there are some popular football companies that are also listed on stock exchanges that you could, consider as options for persons who are, interested, to give that, it's still buying into something that you like, flavor.
To Manchester United, why not?
You could, right? And I think when it is that you want to position, or when it is that you want to introduce your children or young teens, you probably could do it through stocks that they like. So I know last week we have spoken about Walt Disney, and as teens they could relate to the company, what it does, and that's how you start to have that conversation about how it is that you can go about investing. Also, when it is that we think of persons who may be a little bit on the practical side, if you consider somebody who likes gifts that are usable, that are not just for the fun of it, you could look at companies that would be something that they use. So for example, a person who uses the toll on a regular basis, you could consider purchasing Trans-Jamaican Highway stock for them. And it's a company that pays decent dividends, has a good dividend yield, so they could then use their dividend to then top up the T tag, and that could be some way of them seeing some sort of a practicality in it, as a way of I have this stock and it's also helping me to pay whatever expense I have on an ongoing basis, while it is that I wait for a movement in the price. And that, so those are just a few other ways that we can look at how it is that we could do stocks as a part of a gift, particularly as we head into the festive season. But as usual, your Sagicor Investments wealth team has provided for you an option to do so. So you can have that discussion with your stockbroker, how it is, what it is that you think would fit for a particular person, what would make a good gift based on, their personality, and how it is that, you think of them, whether they're conservative, yes or no, or you could just buy a gift cert and, allow them to come in and choose, a stock that matches along with their investment profile.
As we go into the festive period, we're going to now provide our stock pick for this holiday season. What would that be?
All right, so today we'll be looking at stationery and office supplies. They do office furniture as well as stationery items. And they're also known largely as well for the production of the Seek exercise books that we use in schools. Typically when I come and I give the stock pick, you're normally used to hearing, growth in revenue, growth in profit. However, when we're looking at SOS, I'm going to actually be reporting that for the full 9 months of 2024, thus far, they've actually seen a decrease in revenue and they have actually seen a decrease in profit. So revenue has actually fallen around 8 to 9%, and profit has dipped, I think, somewhere around 33%, thereabouts, or within the 30s in terms of profit. And, you may be wondering, where is Jordan going with this, especially in the context of how it is that we normally look at companies that, are having good growth. Is what we normally look at. But when you look at the numbers in isolation, it doesn't really paint the full picture. When you look at it in context of the fact that this is a company that has been having record revenue and profits for the past 2 years. And this number is really compared to a record high year. So when we look, it's a comparison year over year. And even though it has been seen a decline in revenue and a decline in net profit, this year, based on management, is still lining up to be second best on record. So it's still not going to be, even though we're seeing a decline, it's not going to be a bad performance when it is that you look at all the other years. And it's a company that has been around for about 6 years. And so this is going to be on track to be, the second best year in performance. But when you look at the belly of the company and what's really driving this is really that we're seeing a reduction in revenue and an increase in expenses. And part of what has been driving, when you look at the 9 months, is that there was an increase in price due to higher costs of production, and so that would have had somewhat of an impact, as well as revenues dipped in Q3 because there was extended shipping delays, and that meant that for a period of time the company was without stock to sell. So that would have had some amount of hamper on their performance. So there wasn't, based on the fact that they were expecting to get goods, they weren't able to get them. So there was a period where persons wanted the goods, but they just didn't have the goods to sell. And so that's a good problem to have, right? Also when we look at their specific lines, so there's a line that they have called the Valve Furniture line that has actually been growing. And that performance for this year, for the 9 months so far, is actually exceeding the management's expectation. The gross profit margin for this company, even though we're seeing lower revenues and higher expenses, is that gross profit margin has actually been improving. And you want your margins to be improving. So you also want to see, you could have a company that's growing in revenues, but the margins are falling, meaning that even though they're making more money, they're not able to eke out as much profit as they were in prior years when they were making less. So this is a company that's making a little bit less in terms of revenue. They're having higher expenses, but the efficiency of management is showing that they're actually doing better in terms of the margins. They're able to eke out, more profit out of lower revenues than they would have done in prior years. And so that's really another positive that we have going for the company. And, one of the things we have been speaking quite a bit is that markets change, and there's how it is that a company adapts, and it's a good test for management to see how it is that they adapt in changing environments. And so what we note is that stationery and office supplies has been indicating that they are going to be doing some amount of expansion, because as you can imagine, if it is that I have demand for my product and I can't have my product here, then it means that there's likely a need for increase in terms of storage. So they have actually broken ground in Q3 to do a 8,000 square foot expansion, and that would facilitate the growing in terms of the demand that they're seeing. There's going to be a segment of, in that expansion that allows for new machinery for the production of the Seek exercise books. And so that's something that will augur well for a particular company. When you look at the stock price as well, just, following the Q3 results, like probably the second or the third day of trading, there was just a slight dip in the price, not much. I think I'm probably less than 5% downward movement, which means that investors still see value in a particular company. And, it's definitely one of those that we would have recommended in July of this year to say, it's an opportunity we see upside for this company. It's a company that has, as I mentioned, have record, in terms of revenue and profits, and the market has not fully priced in all the potential that this company has, and the expansion, should really help in terms of the efficiency gains for the company, as well as to spur, the storage costs will help alleviate some of the issues that they're currently having. But as usual, this is just one of the companies that we are recommending to our clients, and I urge you to reach out to your Surgical Investments wealth advisor, who you can have a fulsome discussion with on this stock, as well as any other I've spoken about this season, or anyone that's listed on the market, as we help you to realize your investments.
And that is a good point to end on, Jody. So thank you, listeners and viewers, for joining us for this season of Think Like a Stockbroker. And we wish you all the best heading into the holiday season.
That was Sagicor Investments, Think Like a Stockbroker. Smart investors, think ahead. Join us on Nationwide 90 FM, Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for Sagicor Investments, Think Like a Stockbroker. When you build wealth with Sagicor Investments, you never have to settle for less than your dreams. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor so Sagicor Investments can help you create, grow, and preserve your wealth.
Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The time by the 1JN Passport app is...
KFC festive feast for the holidays. Full of power with my friends and my family. KFC bucket of the flavor. Something for everybody, time for we celebrate. 12 piece of chicken so delicious. Fries, biscuits, coleslaw, mashed potatoes. And the Pepsi. Crunch the holiday with KFC. It's the festive feast for you and me.
Crunch the holidays with the KFC Festive Feast. 12 pieces of delicious chicken, sides, and a 2-liter Pepsi. Try our new KFC dessert biscuits. KFC, it's finger licking good.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Bad governance, the bane of Jamaica's economic woes. Let's talk truth and shame the devil. Relative to its God-given endowments, talented people, strategic geographical location, ideal climate, natural resources, fertile land, majestic mountains, verdant landscape, alluring waterfalls, rivers and seas, Jamaica's economy is among the world's worst performing. One cannot deny the fact of Jamaica's economic turnaround in recent years. In the Sunday Gleaner, November 10, 2024 edition, writing in the guest columnist slot, Honorable Favour Williams, who now sits at the helm of the Finance Ministry, proclaimed that Jamaica's macroeconomic fundamentals are the best they have been in 50 years. At the end of her column, realism set in. The first sentence of the last paragraph was like throwing cold water into the face of someone who needed to be revived from a fainting spell. I quote, "Macroeconomic stability is not a destination. That much is true." So said Minister Favour Williams. It should therefore come as no surprise that her boss and our Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, in a policy address on Tuesday, November 19, 2024, stated that Jamaica had achieved macroeconomic stability and that it was now time to enter a new phase. As reported in the Gleaner November 20, 2024 edition, the Prime Minister's policy statement was dubbed Next Chapter, Pivot to Inclusive Growth. The Prime Minister's policy statement mirrors exactly the position put forward by the PNP spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, in his presentation at the 86th annual conference of his party held 2 months earlier. I quote him in part from newspaper reports of the event. "Our focus is on growth, that does not just inflate numbers, but improves lives, lifts families out of poverty, and creates opportunities for all Jamaicans regardless of their background. End of quote. Over the last 4 decades, growth in gross domestic product, GDP, has averaged a paltry 1% per annum, making ours one, if not the slowest growing economy among developing countries. The question is not what is needed. There is broad consensus on the need for growth. The question is how? How does the country escape from the perennial low growth cycle alongside economic inequality? Based on low voter turnout in national polls, the majority of the electorate has lost confidence that government and governance, as organized and practiced in Jamaica, can deliver the desired inclusive growth. The much-touted constitutional reform, if it ever happens, will be too little, too late. Jamaica should look to the example of the United States. In the early 1940s, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, through executive orders, appointed what came to be known as economic czars, positions and persons with wide-ranging power to manage various aspects of the wartime economy. The practice has continued in peacetime, with the latest example being President-elect Donald Trump's appointment of Elon Musk to reduce economic stifling bureaucracy and increase efficiency in government. Jamaica is ill-served by the status quo and government ineptitude. We are trapped, it seems, in a situation in which the party out of power is always the one with the answers. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
The Fosridge Christmas in November sale. Shop from November 24 to December 5 and save on chandeliers, wall lamps, ceiling fans, and LED bulbs. It's cold outside, so ask about our solar water heaters. It's the Fosridge Christmas in November sale. November 24 to December 5. It's a Fosridge.
Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The time by the 1JN Passport app is
7:33.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Total Tools is having a Black Friday sale weekend! Sale, sale, sale! Up to 50% off select items, major discounts on tools, accessories, lighting, and electrical supplies. All Black Friday weekend long, Thursday, November 28 to Saturday, November 30. Move fast, only while stocks last. Visit Total Tools Kingston, Ocho Rios, or Drax Hall. Total Tools, we've got you totally covered.
For the Fosridge Christmas in November sale. Shop from November 24 to December 5 and save on chandeliers, wall lamps, ceiling fans, and LED bulbs. It's cold outside, so ask about our solar water heaters. It's the Fosridge Christmas in November sale. November 24 to December 5. It's a Fosridge.
Shocks Depot is having a pre-Christmas clearance sale with massive discounts on all shocks and struts for all vehicles. Installation and wheel alignment available, plus warranty on all shocks and struts. Contact or visit Shocks Depot at 79 Hagley Park Road. Telephone 876-649-0238 and call or WhatsApp 876-509-0076. Shocks Depot. Our products are durable, comfortable, and affordable.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. It's now your time. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-825-5. Come chat with us. And Billboard, you're on the line. Good evening.
Good afternoon to you, Billboard.
Top of the evening,
Good evening, rather.
gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
I feel so good when I hear the Minister of Justice. I've been calling for this for over a year now. These men will not stop doing some things until they realize that they have a wall to buck up into. I don't care. You try to be nice. You have your home. Look at it this way. You have your home. You have a nice family. But sometimes one member of the family step out alive. And now all the parents and even their players try to control them. They seem to be uncontrollable. When daddy put on him foot on him, you have to stop it. There's a time come now where the government have to understand. There's no pampering of these men. And I've watched them being pampered from in the 90s. Because when you start move crime, murder, and categorize murder as the special people who can be charged for murder, and you have to kill some special people for the death penalty region. It's pampering the criminals. When you commit murder, especially like this, these kind of murders now. These are not domestic murders or fight kind of a man kill a man accidentally and you never expect to kill him. These men are bent and killing. So what is stopping us from killing them back? I ask a question.
Go ahead.
No, I'm asking because what is stopping us?
The law is the shackle, as is one would suggest.
Put in the necessary machinery. DNA, fast movement, how you try the case, you name it. Get them through before 5 years. Let them know they have a day to come. But they go in there and they stay in there and they control it back out here. You don't need these people, man. It's hard to say it. Right now I'm looking at one, I don't want to categorize. There's an area there now in Western Kingston where the man going to prison, him never going to the Dan, but him staying in there and him turn the Dan now. You have to control it. Okay, sir? And I'm totally in support of Mr. Chuck. And I think Jamaica, if you do a survey right now, you get at minimum 90% people who will agree with it. And that's what Jamaica wants. The people need it. It has to stop now. Good night, gentlemen.
I hear you, Billboard. Thank you for the call. Errol, good evening.
Bless up, Siobhan and Tyrone.
How are you doing, sir?
Prosperity time, no, you know. I know we're going to roll out, you know. Yesterday, that side of tree headed up on the road. I go road and I chapter now. All of them can't come with a plan. You hear my plan? My prime minister come in plan Sunday and them get boomy. And no start here. You see it?
So you come back from the conference happy?
Happy, man. Where do you, man? You tell us everything we just go touch the road now, you know. Vazi that tell us from where they say, if I go touch the road, you know, I'm not ready for the road, you know. I cheer them out there and we just lower them. And then go around and disrespect who they will disrespect and yap. You see right now, we don't know if them time they're old, you know. In the 80s, scope in the 90s, the man they lick out and they don't want a white man to rule, you know. And this. But now they want to come with a white man to come run here. We don't want a white man, you know, brother.
Errol, it's better you use the British thing than I'd prefer. I can understand in terms of that, but please let's not go with the race thing again, man.
All right. Lead the race thing. We don't want no British man to come rule we here.
But Mr. Golding is a Jamaican.
No, man. Which school you go?
Tyrone, I'm not sure. Which school did Mr. Golding go?
Mr. Golding no Ghana. Mr. Golding no Ghana.
Mr. Golding was born here. His father is British, as I understand it, but Mr. Golding was born here.
Oh, sir. And them now have no birth certificate.
Mr. Golding has a Jamaican birth certificate. I don't know where you got that information. He has a Jamaican birth certificate.
Why are you guys keep repeating that? Do you know otherwise that he doesn't have one?
They can't find it a Pika.
That's that. But your birth certificate wouldn't be at Pika.
No, look, let's focus on more substantive issues, my brother.
Tyrone, it's you, Tyrone. Relax, Tyrone. We deal with them, because when they're ready to deal with our people, let me know. All right. You see right now, what I'm saying, I want to come meet you and a talk. I see how quick. Never come up a pressure warming and when Dayton come with that meeting and a disrespect father, disrespect Prime Minister and a disrespect all other people, and you didn't come out and a lick out. Hey, this morning I listen to the private sector man, Metro Ciago. I talk about Warmington, this Warmington. Why when Dayton come with that disrespect, people now come and say nothing. Eh? Tell me why. And I'm going to tell everyone, you want to tell everyone.
Why are you asking me to speak for other people? I'm telling you, you're here before us now, and I'm saying let's talk about more substantive issues. We're not talking about people's race, man. We're not going down that road, my brother.
Well, Tyrone, I'm done with the race thing, Tyrone. I ask you a question. Metro Ciago come this morning and look up about Warmington.
I can't hardly hear him, Siobhan. I'm not sure if you're hearing him.
I'm hearing him now. But Carl, let me tell you something. Errol, sorry, but sometimes I can't. I don't know this evening. I can't tell the two on a party now. But when I recall when Lothan Cousins, I believe it was a year or so back, suggested that no black man should ever vote for the JLP, I abhorred that comment, and I don't want to see either side use race as any kind of bludgeon to suggest where one should vote in Jamaica.
Absolutely, man. It's let's elevate the discourse, man.
Our politics should be well past that at this point.
Absolutely,
that been there and them, but them have come back with the old time thing. And them started, you know.
Yeah, so why are you continuing with it?
Tyrone. Me mean I cool and I listen to them, but just know our time now we started now.
No, man. We're not going to entertain much of this, though. So if you can't go down another road, we're going to have to take another call.
I'm sure you heard that statement about those who seek vengeance should dig two graves.
All right, my boss. And then I eat him with car. I don't want to talk when Tyrone upon the program, because you say Tyrone, you go on Tyrone.
Errol, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Errol.
I'm sure you can do better than that.
I'm not going to talk to Tyrone.
Errol, have a good evening. I'm not sure what that means, Errol, but still, have a good evening. Bless up. Carl, good evening.
Even Trevor, even Tyrone.
Mas, Carl. I'm your bangle, my boss.
Man. What a nice time to be living in Jamaica. First thing you ask your Tyrone. About 4 to 5 months ago, you say you was thinking about voting. Are you still thinking about voting, or you make up your mind for voting in the next election?
I'm still thinking about it, Sir Carl.
Tyrone, you still can't up on the sideline when you're looking at what is happening.
Yeah, you can't tell me where I need to be, Carl. You can make up my mind for me?
No, I don't. Tell me, I tell you, Tyrone.
No, what you mean you can't be. That's what you just said a while ago.
Sorry about that. I will withdraw that.
You should withdraw it, because it's my mind, and I'm the one who is going to make it up, not you.
Tyrone.
Yes, Carl, I'm listening.
From 1980, we get fully involved in politics. And me come up tell me there, no. And it's the first in a history, me see government led by the Jamaica Labour Party can't live out that they pass. We have to put out this government can afford see a give back $20,000 to people. Go back. Hold on. Me miss me copy for me to dip on this evening. Sorry, but what Golding should have done yesterday with Ian Hill come out and tell lie about water commission. If there was an opposition will have any sense, then should have come yesterday at the press conference and say, all right, you shouldn't take off 8% off of the GCT. You should then take off 5 off of it and take off 3 off of basic food item. Anyhow, we not give PMP no more idea because I don't have much sense. You know, we're not giving no idea. That's what
I am left stumped by the PMP's response to that, and then that blatant untruth that was told by the opposition spokesman. I mean, and Jamaicans need to be, and these are the things that we need to be talking about, and stop talking about people's race. Jamaicans need to be mindful of that. Is this the type of governance that is being placed on the table, that you're going to come out, address a public forum, and then state a blatant untruth like that, something that you can easily check by a phone call? Is this how we expect them to manage the portfolios if they form the next government? You're going to just recklessly say things? And that those are the things that you guys should be talking about, and stop calling and talking about Mark Golding's race.
No, hold on. Me not think but I go down that the journey there tonight. Me just deal with home. Me see, we've been having natural disaster for roughly about 3.5 months now. And every time one come up near the government say, it can finance it out. Tyrone, you're there a long time. You ever hear of no government in your country that could have do them the breed of things before now?
Carl, I hope you're going about and doing your business for your party out there, so preaching the message, you know. Yeah, as much as you come to Nation One each evening to preach that message, I hope you're doing the same out.
No, man, me just not too long come off the road. And when a young lady tell me that she just received her $20,000 today.
Good.
So me not have to worry about her vote.
You sure of that?
Yeah, she said, but me know where she lives.
All right.
He said, hold on. Tyrone, those are things that we don't expect a leader for opposition to come with yesterday and tell you, say you shouldn't remove so much off of the light bill. You should have moved some off of basic food item. More than a come to me yesterday and still tell me, say, the government never achieved 5 in 4. That's an old scratch record. No, we don't need to hear that anymore.
But Carly, I don't know if it would be reasonable to... I can't speak for the position of the government, but GCT being one of the most easily collectible taxes, I don't know if it's a good idea to remove it from an item such as just ordinary everyday items. Although I'm sure there are quite a few basic foods that are exempt from GCT already.
There are. They just use the basic food. They say he could have come with an idea.
So you want him to put forward an idea? All right, I hear you, Carl. All right.
You're way more financially savvy than I am. This argument that it's not going to benefit those who are less fortunate or in a certain income group, I don't buy it. How does that make sense? I don't understand what they were trying to say.
No, because there is a group of people below the 200 megawatt. Someone can correct me, that do not pay GCT on electricity. That is true. Anyone who uses less than 200 megawatts does not pay GCT on electricity. And I think that amounts to about $7,000, $8,000 bill.
Even come with a next idea, Kevin. Allow me say now, give them no idea. They could have even come with and say, all right, the people them are bringing the things them from overseas. Carry down a percentage of the clear the container that they can afford to sell the basic things in the country less price. all those are ideas. Mother, you just come with stupidness yesterday. And then I heard one. Well, I heard Philip Palwell last night. And I have to wonder if this is the Philip Palwell where the tell us ended up set up some net serve business in Montego Bay. And by the time you quint your eye, $250 million the gone. And PJ said it was youthful exuberance. So when him come up and tell you about him, we put up solar system, right? And rubbish. I take nothing from what Philip Palwell I say. Anything with Philip Palwell say no make no sense.
I will say this though. The notion that solar electricity is going to be the saving grace, I don't know if I'm in 100 support of it for two reasons. Firstly, the more people who switch over to solar energy is the more individuals who remain on the grid will have to pay to JPS.
Thank you very much.
And secondly, the cost to switch over to solar, as in just the actual base cost, is very expensive, you know. So
yeah, it is, and that has been the deterrent for quite some time.
So I would like the more ambitious proposals as put forward by the Prime Minister that we look for a actual solution such as nuclear energy, hydroelectric. I'm not sure what happened to that hydroelectric project that was sort of announced and then walked back a few years ago. Those are what I think are real solutions to the cost of electricity in the country.
Ricardo, coming out that people want to talk. Ricardo, you see what did happen, Ricardo? Then sit back for 4.5 years was fully depending on Andrew Declaration to take them into Parliament. The old Cliff Hughes used to talk about it a morning time, so they now think. And the IC busy with Mr. Holness Declaration flying at them face. And then going to come with one whole heap of stupidness now. And all we've been asking them, come out with your manifesto that it will look on it careful.
Well, where is your party's manifesto to? Huh? Shouldn't your party, we're under a year away constitutionally from when the general elections are due. Shouldn't both parties be producing their manifesto, not just the opposition?
The JLP doesn't need to produce a manifesto. Our manifesto is here over 4 years that we are looking for every day, Ricardo.
No, Sir Carly. Asking for a new term in government, you have to produce a new manifesto.
But wouldn't that be the Aspire Jamaica? Wouldn't that constitute a manifesto, Tyre? Well, not a manifesto, but constitute what they intend to do over the next few years, that Aspire Jamaica initiative?
I mean, it is a part of a manifesto, one would think, but there are other issues I would suppose that they need to address.
Tyrone, last week Tuesday, the Prime Minister gives you a piece of his manifesto for the new term last week Tuesday, even this time. And Sunday evening again, he gives you a piece. I know the government, if you call upon for your manifesto, and who has seen the Prime Minister job.
I mean, I will agree with Carl on this, you know, as in the JLP should be running on its record, whereas the PNP are the ones who need to suggest how they intend to adjust and move forward differently. But I still think most parties should produce a manifesto to say how their next 4 years will look. But I will give you some leeway to suggest that, yes. But I will give Carl some leeway on this to say that the JLP will have their achievements or what they believe to be their achievements to put to the people to say, will you give us another 4 years?
Exactly. And the opposition will see the Prime Minister job need to give us something to look at. Now wait till 2 weeks before they come like the last one election when time. I think
Sir Carl, what I don't think you are accepting, is that if your party fails to produce a manifesto because they're in government, what they're suggesting to us is that the manifesto they previously submitted or presented to the public, that they have not completed that. It is still a work in progress. Is that what you want the voting public to think? No, so you have to put fresh new plans before the people, including some of those that may not have been implemented as yet.
All right, Carl.
Give you a full manifesto again.
I think we've lost Carl there. Carl?
All right. East Central, good evening. You there?
Yes, please.
Evening. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Tyrone.
Mass East Central. Where you look, man?
No. I hear the Justice Minister speak on matters, but I want to remind him about the 2015 amendment that made to the Criminal Justice Administration Act, the relevant section 42D, the guilty plea. So I just want to remind him that automatically when someone pleads guilty, it automatically moves away the death penalty. Isn't that a fact, Mr. Tyrone?
Say that again. I didn't hear the last word.
The 42D, the Criminal Justice Amendment to the 42D, the guilty plea. When you plead guilty, does it move away the right from the death penalty?
Well, I think the minister is suggesting that they would like to put an amendment that they're, just as we do with mandatory minimums, that in certain cases of murder, you cannot move away the death penalty. Or at least life imprisonment. I think that is what he's suggesting.
I just asked, because they are looking at the 2015 amendment, Right. Just basically that, because I think that it moves away the right from the death penalty. Because I remember the case with Mr. Barnett, when they had seeked the death penalty, I think he had pleaded guilty in the initial stage. Hello?
No, I hear you, East Central. I'm not disputing what you're suggesting. I'm suggesting that the minister is suggesting a change in the law to put it so that the death penalty cannot be removed from the table unless you end up at Privy Council and the Privy Council says otherwise.
Okay, all right, hear you. But I just want to remind him about the 2015 amendment. All right, thanks very much.
All right, thank you, East Central, for the call. I see some people not liking the idea of nuclear energy being used in Jamaica, but I think people forget that there is a nuclear, albeit it's a scientific research reactor, but there is a nuclear reactor at the University of West Indies, operating now for years without issue.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of people are not aware of that. And every time the matter comes up and that is said, it still seems that people don't hear it. There's still a number of people still not aware that we have that nuclear reactor. It is up by UW1, right?
Yes. I mean, it's a small-scale one used for scientific research, but it exists, meaning that the capability to manage nuclear reactors already exists here in Jamaica. It's just a matter of scaling it up. And if you want to see meaningful reductions in your electricity bill, go to places in the world where nuclear reactors are operated, and you would be surprised at what little they pay in terms of actual electricity bills.
Absolutely.
Anyways, people, that's where we have to wrap it up. It's 7:59. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for joining us for another evening. Thanks to Dana Davey, our producer, or Andrew Glenn Anderson, or Super Tech Up, and my compatriots and friends in the newsroom, led by the capable Cara Powell and George Davis, along with Kimon Thompson. Let me not forget her. Thank you all for making this a lovely evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7:59.
Happy holidays from Team Adam and Eve. We invite